a second there. Let me fix that. Hopefully that works for you guys. Right. Hello everyone, and welcome to another stream with me, 320 Sim Pilot. And today we are departing from Malta, where we last arrived in our ToLiss A321 NEO, and heading southeast, mostly east really, to Cairo for a first time on the channel. Let me just check how is the audio for you guys. Let me figure this out. Sort out that desktop. Sorry about this. Yeah, I can see that I'm coming through quiet. I'm not entirely sure why. Let's see if that works. Okay, guys. Sorry about that. Bit of a mess with the audio. I'm not sure how the desktop audio ended up so loud. But there we go. Right, thank you all for coming along. There we go. I think I sorted it out. Right, good stuff. Right. That was a terrible start. Terrible start. So, hello to Arthur Sky, James Cooper for coming along early. Matteo Chewy, thanks for coming and moderating. Good to see you. Flying along as well, I see, in the other IMX Manta livery. IMX is the call sign, is the code we use for our Manta flights. The call sign is Manta, so I can see Matteo over there, I'm guessing. Oh, we have another Manta there as well next to us. Excellent. Good evening to Joseph. Victor Tango, good to see you. Corrado. Phil Norbeck. Alan Story, good to see you. Alan will be here for a while. Wife has been readmitted to the hospital with chest pains around her. Oh, goodness me, Alan. I hope things improve. So, yeah, that's terrible to hear, Alan. So, yeah, hopefully things get better for you over the next few hours, if not days. But, yeah, thank you for coming along, Alan. And all our best wishes to you and your wife, of course. Yeah, let's get ourselves on a nice evening stream to keep ourselves entertained this winter night. So Oscar, good to see you as well. Tom, Chickpoint, thanks for coming along. Not going to be flying along today. Still getting a bit of preparation for the VATSIM. Is the audio still no good? What is going on? Sorry guys, I'm really struggling with the sound here and I can't figure out why. Let me do that, see if that helps as well. Yeah, sorry guys, loads and loads of messages that I've missed now because I'm busy fiddling with my various components trying to make sure the stream works. But yeah, great to see you. Thanks for coming along, Dougal, as well, and coming along for moderating. Thank you. Joe Vaughan, thanks for hello to Oscar, Liam, Mr. EW, Mr. Espresso, thanks for coming, Mr. Espresso. Hope you're doing well as well. And yeah, right. Oh my goodness, loads and loads of messages. Good to see you all, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Audio's good, excellent. T5, good stuff. Okay, we're getting there. It's all a balancing act as ever. I'm sure I've messed up my audio. I've been fiddling around with a few other things for the channel, which may have had some impacts on that. Right, who else have we got? Oh, loads. Alpaca 98 from Nuremberg, Germany, thanks for coming along. Sean Maguire, good to see you as well, from San Diego. Excellent. Right, guys. Andy H1302, of course, as well. Thank you for coming. Right, I apologise if I missed your name. I'm just, yeah, this is a bit of a struggle to get ourselves going today. So here we go. We are back in our 321 NEO by ToLiss. So obviously this is in X-Plane 11. This is the livery that we've had out for a while now. I think I was looking at it. It looks like we started it in July was when it first got uploaded, or when I first started working on it anyway. So it was made for our 1,000 subscriber special back in July, which does seem like a long time ago now. But yeah, great fun. We had a lot of good flights around, and we've used this livery a lot on the channel. But there were a few things I wanted to change on it. We've now got a slightly different Manta on the tail, which now brings it into line with the merchandise. So I'll just plug the Teespring store in the description. So yeah, you are very welcome to, if you'd like to support the channel, the merchandise is there and available, and that uses the Manta that is now on this new revised livery. Corrosive Moon, good to see you. Corrosive Moon is our resident contact out in Egypt, so we are finally flying down there. It's been a long time. So thanks for coming, Corrosive Moon. I hope you're doing well. I hope your hoodie is treating you well in the cold as well out there. Steve 1975, hello. Jake Morley, hello to you. Yeah, so we have updated it with the new Manta on the tail. We've sorted out some of the glitches with some of the engines where the logo would appear backwards, and we've also obviously fitted it to all NEO variants, so you can now have it. And let's just cycle through them, as this is so easy these days. You've got the Pratt & Whitney engine as well. There you go. And of course this was the one we spent ages on. I spent all morning trying to get this right. You've got the CFM and the IAE engine. So that's all in the new livery pack. If you put !livery into the chat, so the Streamlabs bot should bring it up for you. But what I'm also going to do later on in the flight is I'll pin it and you guys can go and download it. Please do leave a review on the Threshold forum as well if you do like it. It should all be in there. If you load it up by default, you will get the CFM LEAP engines with 2 ACTs, I believe, and the dual overwing exit config. So yeah, we've got all the right configs for the doors as well now. So yeah, very happy with it. My graphic designer has done a very good job getting that sorted because it was really hard to work out the logo on the engines. Turtle Kayak, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Let me get to the right page here. Here we go. Hoodie's yet to arrive. Hopefully in a couple of days. Yeah, I hope so too, Croson Moon. That's taking a little while, so hopefully that comes soon. I'm glad you like livery, Phil Norbic. Excellent. The Morgan Thomas Show, good to see you. Says, I took notes from the last live stream. I was reading that out loud last night while practicing. My wife was amazed. She thought I was taking real classes. Excellent. Yeah, I'm glad. It's always great to hear the people are getting something out of the videos and the streams. So you're very welcome. Right, let us get ourselves underway. So Malta Air Traffic Control have kindly come along. Ikra 0002 from the Discord, who was the controller for our arrival last time, has approval to operate from here, so very kindly has come online to help us out, and I think maybe a couple of other controllers. Let me bring up, let's see, yeah, we have ground and tower now, so that's great, and Donatus. So I've sort of set up the airplane a bit like a transient turnaround. I don't know, most of you have probably seen the livery already, so we won't spend too long. We'll look at it once we get underway. A bit of a longer flight time 2 hours and 5, but yeah, basically the latest update is just to get these engines in the right shade, and I think it makes a nice view from the cabin as well. Quite smart. You've got our similar pink Wizz Air over there. So, right, onto the flight deck then. The IRS is still in the line mode. That's a bit, wrong. Anyway, you'll notice I have not done the latest AirAC update because I was concerned due to issues with the previous one before my last stream, I remember. There we go. Now we can align the IRS. I've said before that they would automatically align in the modern aircraft because they would just take the GPS position, but there we go. Our alternate today is going to be Hotel Echo Tango Bravo. Again, Corrosive Moon will be the expert on these places. I believe that's Taba International, but only has 1 passenger gate. So yeah, not an ideal alternate for us. If a few people had to go there, that could be busy. Something that you think about is your alternate is my alternate going to be completely full when I get there? Because if the airport I'm going to closes for any reason and I have to go to the alternate, will there be space for everyone who was going to the destination to also fit into the alternate? So yeah, something definitely to consider. Will be the Manta 243. I've recently discovered the joy of typing straight onto the keyboard instead of clicking around on the screen for this. Gosten X42. And we're going to cruise at a flight level 350. We'll talk about flight levels along the way as well. So that's our NIT A. Flight plan then. Well, having been briefed by our controller already, I can simply go here, and we were told to expect runway 31, and I believe it's the go DAC to Delta departure, which is this one, which looks about right. You'll see it looks a bit funny at first, but until you put the weights in, sometimes that does happen, where it can't draw the predicted lines correctly. Steve1975 says, which is more similar to ToLiss performance, the A300 or the Boeing 767? Do you mean performance in terms of the aircraft or the performance of your computer? Tetal Kayak likes the view from the window. Excellent. Good news. Keep an eye out for the pyramid, says G90. Thanks for coming, G90. And yeah, we absolutely will. Tobias Brockman, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. Thanks for coming along. Okay, so there we go. So that's going to take us to Godak. After Godak, we are taking the Airway Lima 874. Oh, no, that's not worked. What have I done there? I don't even want to know what I've pressed. Oh, I'm pressing L and it's moving the sun. That's concerning. Okay, let's go back to typing. I was so proud of my newfound way of doing it. Lima 874 to Vanix. Yeah, I've been meaning to ask you guys, is the latest database cycle, does it work properly with all these add-ons? Because, yeah, I didn't want it to corrupt anything at this point. From Vanix direct to Arlos. So this route, if any of you are flying along or you want to fly along on VATSIM, so we are on VATSIM. So like I said, we have our Malta controllers, and these other aircraft are other Discord members and community members who are going to fly along at a similar time. This isn't an official group flight as such, but people are always welcome, of course, to fly along. then if you sign on to the Discord, you'll get a notification of the route in advance of the flight, so you can have time to sort of set up your flight plan. Arlos Airways, November 4 to Salon. It's been a long time since we've been in the ToLiss 321. Really, it's quite good fun to be back. Quebec 680 to Delta Bravo Alpha. Mateo says the backspace on your keyboard works as the clear button on the MCU. Oh, I see. Okay, very good, very good. It doesn't type in the MCU, just click on the top of the pop-up MCU on the metal part. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I've been making a mess of it. Thanks, Mateo. So quick 680 Delta Bravo Alpha Mike 872. So what happens when I press L? Why does oh, it goes over there. Why does the sun move when I press L? Am I advancing time? Foxtrot Yankee Mike, Whiskey 613 to Alpid, and Corrosive Moon already kindly informed us that there are no stars going into Cairo. So from Alpid, it's going to be pretty much direct. So I'm just going to leave it blank, and I'm going to put in, I think, RS23 left is the current expected approach. So we shall insert that. Thank you for your subscription to Colin. There we go. Streamlabs is awake now. So yeah, exclamation mark livery. That should bring up the livery now for you guys. Thank you for all those subscriptions that are all going to come through at once. I apologize. It's this Streamlabs bot does this sometimes. Let me just be a bit careful with the alert box. It might just put those all through at once. Oscar Lamprecht, thank you very much for your €5 donation. That's very kind of you, Oscar, for supporting the channel yet again. Oscar says, as some of us are apparently not confident enough for VATSIM, but would love to join. Have you ever thought of a tutorial on that? Best greetings. Yes, it's a topic definitely that I need to cover. I get a lot of questions about it. There are some great tutorials out there, but I completely understand that it would be great if we could have one for the channel as well. So that's something I'm definitely looking at in the future. So yeah, definitely. I need to get on that. There's been so many updates going on in the Airbus sort of flight sim world lately that I've been struggling to keep on top of it, I must admit. So the VATSIM one is always sitting there on the back of my mind as something I need to get done. But thank you, Oscar. And yeah, I hope we can get as many people confident with VATSIM as they can, because it's great fun. It is really good fun. Oh my goodness, it's going to just put out all those. So thank you all for your subscriptions. I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the stream if you are watching. And yeah, I apologize that I can't quite see them all just because of the the mess Streamlabs is making. Right, so there is our flight plan. So we've done our data, our init A, our flight plan. So we're doing diff strip, of course. So next is secondary flight plan. I'm just going to copy in the active. I'm not too concerned. The train issue isn't too restrictive here. Then radnav. Let's have a look at our departure. Now, it's very common in the Airbus to leave the radnav completely auto-tuning. I don't think these are RNAV departures, though. So we're doing the 2 Delta. So we go straight ahead to 1.6 on the Lima mic. The Lima mic being a DME-based beacon. Okay, so 1.6 Lima mic. Turn left, 305. Track to 8 miles, Lima mic. Turn left to Mike Lima Tango 099, bearing to Godak. So if you're feeling keen, you could definitely type a few things in there, because this is a conventional SID. So effectively, we're out to, well, we've got our first point, but we're going to go out to 8 miles, make our left turn around. So let's put in the Lima mic. Oh, it's already in there. That's the ILS, sorry. Yeah, of course. So I can get that to display by either selecting the ILS like this, or even better, let's just type it into the frequency up there, 1105. There we go. And that should still work. It should still give us the distance reading. But we shall see. Alternatively, I can put in the Lima mic, hopefully in here. Is that going to work for us? There we go. Lars, very kind SEC 100 donation. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I hope you're doing well, Lars, and thank you for supporting the channel. That's very kind of you. No message, but yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming along, Lars, and thank you. That's really appreciated. Thank you to you and Oscar for being so kind and helping towards the channel today. Very kind of you. Stephen says, I mean, with the ToLiss, we get good FPS and the aircraft fly very well. I'd like something similar in cargo, and I thought of the A300 or the 767. Thank you so much. No, you're very welcome, Steve. That's a discussion we'll have to have en route because I like the 757. I don't have the Flight Factor 767. I do have the Builds A300. Both very good add-ons, no doubt about it. Right. So yeah, sorry, and thank you again, Lars. Thank you. That's really appreciated. Corrosive Moon says usually it's 23 center and 23 right, which are active in Cairo. Long taxi from 23 left. Okay, good news. We will plan that on the way. Tobias says I'm controller on VATSIM. I can help you with that as well for the tutorial. Great. Yeah, something for the future. Right. Okay, so that is Radnav, and we're also going to fly out to... I'm sure it said we were going to go via the Mike Lima Tango. We are. We're going to use the 395 NDB Mike Lima Tango. So let's put that in there. I forget there's two ADFs. It's very rare to see two ADFs on the Airbus because you have to pay for that second ADF receiver, and ADFs are so rarely used. You don't need it to cross the Atlantic or anything. It doesn't really serve much purpose. It's just for this sort of departure. So having two is a bit overkill, really. But still, it means we can display it with that second needle. In a normal Airbus with just one ADF receiver, it would always just show you ADF 1. It's that simple, really. Great. So that's a bit of a plan for the departure. Let's finish up the MCDU. So Radnav, finally init B. I can go over there. We'll get rid of that. And I will show you what I've done here. So quite a heavy flight today. Quite a lot of passengers for this one. Going at 176. Not much cargo, luckily, because that gives us a 0 fuel weight of 68.9. And a max 0 fuel 27.4. We put that in there. Block fuel, I'm going with 12 tons because there's forecast... reduced visibility with sand at Cairo, so I don't know how much that could influence traffic or delays, but as there's a few of us going, give us a chance for a go around or something like that. However, what I will say is this figure 12 is based on a required block fuel of 10.9, but I know that that's not based on a NEO, so we're going to burn less fuel. So this reckons we've got loads of extra time. I mean, that's ridiculous. You wouldn't often fly with 3 tons extra fuel. That's rare. Right, so that is all in. We just apply and apply. And the next step is, that's init B done anyway, so landing at 74.6, which is below max landing weight. Finally, performance page. Now I wanted to show you guys something. We're going to use a intersection today because our controller helpfully pointed out that most people take off from Charlie, because otherwise you've got to backtrack all the way down the runway and go through this loop here, and we can save ourselves a lot of time by heading straight off from intersection Charlie if we can fit. Now, airlines will have their own performance manuals that will tell you exactly how much shift that is. Shift means start point. So you're shifting the start point. So if I put 100 meters in here, it means the start point of my takeoff is moved 100 meters up the runway. So 100 meters less distance. But also, not just distance, it also accounts for the fact you're then going to take off closer to, for example, obstacles over here. So what we're going to do is figure out the shift we need from Charlie. Now, normally that's really easy for me at work. I can just look it up on the performance that we use. But if you use Jeppesen charts, you can work it out because it says takeoff run available. Runway 31, from the displaced threshold, which is the full length, we've got 3,350 meters. Now, we're going to go from taxiway Charlie, which has got 2,416 meters. So the difference of those is 934 meters, which, if I think about it, or you just look roughly, it's a just over 3,000 meter runway. So we're cutting off, let's say, a third of it. So about 1,000 meters. So that seems pretty reasonable to me. So 934 shift. So let's put that in. And ToLiss, brilliantly, do simulate this. So we'll put 934 in there. Then I'm going to try a flaps 1 takeoff. And there we go. It gives us the figures that we need. And if I change that, so if I put that to 0, and then 156. Oh, it's fine anyway. It doesn't seem to make any difference to it. But yeah, it should account for it in the performance figures. That's my understanding from what I've been told by other people, and I'm sure I've seen it on the forum. So yeah, so that's pretty good. Anyway, flaps 1 takeoff, flex to temp 59, speeds 56, 56, 59. And there we go. Our trimmable horizontal stabilizer is going to be set to 28.7. Let me write that down. I always forget that. And that is the performance page done. So we're starting to get ready. Time to get some ATIS, I would say. Definitely. Let me just jump into the chat, see what I missed. Matteo says it gave me a 5 knots lower V1. There you go. Yeah, so it is simulated. That's good to know. Yeah. So it should account for it. Richie Races, are we there yet? Sadly not. Nope, we are just even starting. I'm getting heavy rain with live weather. No, not for me, although I know there is some rougher weather around. Let me just check actually that we have got the live weather up and running. Right, stand by. Let me be with you in just a moment. Let's see if we can check that. So, match real world conditions. It says Cirrus. I don't know why, but there we go. Right, let us grab the ATIS, which we haven't done for a long time on this channel. I'm very lazy. I do everything I can to avoid having to actually take an ATIS. Cam, A321, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming along. ATIS frequency 1274. We typically do that on box 2, but I don't think we can. Oh, we can. Okay, let's do that. 1274. I should get used to things just working with the ToLiss. It is very good. Oh,
this is LMMO
there we go.
Information Bravo. At time 1645, expect ILS approach runway 31 in use. Transition level 70. Wind 280 degrees 16 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers. Light showers of rain scattered towering cumulus 3300 feet. Temperature 10. 2.7 QNH 1014. No significant change. Advise on initial contact. You have information Bravo.
There we go, Bravo. Bit of a, not the best weather we've ever had to depart. Certainly doesn't match up with what X-Plane's showing me. That's a little bit strange. Let's see if the QNH is right. So they're saying QNH 1014. Gives us 320 feet. And I think that's going to be about right. The runway elevation is 230, but I think it was up a hill. 255. This is, yeah, 104. Okay. Well, we'll believe it. Yeah, so a few towering cumulus. So we definitely have the weather radar on. Towering cumulus are sort of precursors or smaller versions of CBs, thunderstorms, but they're just a bit rough. You can fly through a towering cumulus typically, whereas you certainly don't want to fly through a CB. I said thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying the videos, but thanks for coming along. Good to see you. Plenty of new names today as ever. Fly24, good to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. Fly24 did the music for the channel, so the intro and outro music. So do check out their channel. They've got lots of music and Block Party covers on there. If you are a Block Party fan in particular, they'll be very appreciated, I'm sure. Right, here we go. Guys, I would of course answer more questions when we get underway, but I'm going to be a bit slow at that for now, whilst we just get ourselves underway. Right, let's now get our clearance. And let me set up the checklist I use. Right, clearance. It's going to be from ground 1216. We're actually running pretty good for schedule. We're doing much better than normal on this channel. We're usually hopelessly late by this point. And I'm going to put the other side. Oh, back to guards. There we go. Yeah, so you leave that on 1215. Okay. 1216. Which is ground. Great news. Stephen Barker, £5 donation. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. Stephen says, thank you for all these great videos. Have lost count of the hours I've spent watching them. Brilliant. That's very kind. I'm really glad you enjoy them. Thank you very much for your £5 donation. I really appreciate it. It all goes back towards things for the channel. Some new things that I want to work on very soon as well. Which I'm quite excited about. But yeah, thank you very much, Stephen. Really appreciate it. And I'm glad you've been enjoying the videos. It's great to hear people have been watching them. Yeah, let's update that weather.
Clear to Cairo, Godak to Delta departure. Initial flight level 5,000 feet, squawk 5147. Correction. Malta 358.
Oh well, we'll go with that.
Yes, clear to Cairo.
That sounds like Matteo getting clearance. The ground handling is the ground handling deluxe, which is really great. Agile design. I'm a big fan of it.
Malta 358, just a correction to the squawk. It was my mistake. My apologies. Your squawk number is 5125. Squawking 5125.
So we're on stand 12, QNH 1014.
Malta 358, read back correct.
Malta ground, Manta 243, stand 12, A321 NEO, QNH 1014. and request departure clearance for Cairo.
Mr. Sim 320 pilot, cleared to Cairo, Godak 2 Delta departure, initial flight level 5,000 feet, squawk 7043, and welcome to Malta, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming along and controlling. We are cleared to Cairo via Godak 2 Delta departure. Climb and maintain altitude 5,000 feet. Squawk 7043, Manta 243.
Manta 243, readback is correct. Report ready for engine start.
Wilco, Manta 243. Yes, that's good news actually. I forgot to say we're going to taxi straight ahead, so that makes our life a lot easier. Right, let's get the squawk in. 7043. And we'll probably have to join a little bit of a queue, which will be good. So 7043 on the transponder, 5,000 feet, and check we have the Godak 2 Delta, which we absolutely do. And finally, let's just double check our plane is going to do what we expect it to do. So let's bring up the tablet. So we're going to take off straight ahead out to 8 miles out, which is the hotel A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So that is the 307 radial hotel, which is 8 miles out. Then we'll make our left turn. We're going to be above 2,500 feet there, which the computer thinks we'll be already at flight level 55, so no problem. Then we can turn around the loop and head back. You'll see now that we've entered the weights that the projection is a bit more accurate of what we'll actually fly. It can't do that until it has the weight, so it assumes you might fly that turn sort of on the spot, so it can draw some funny pictures until the weights are in. It's confused me on the real airplane before as well. And then out to Godak. Good news. Looks like no speed limits as such, so we'll just clean up on schedule. Okay, so I think it's probably a good time to get ourselves started. So let me bring up the checklist. Active sky time, yeah, I don't have active sky. I've been avoiding it all this time. Oops, that us.
Give me a minute, Air Malta 123.
There we go, those of us here. Excellent. All right, let's get the ground stuff away. Let's close those doors. I wish there was a close all button. There we go. Ground handling moving away. So I think what we'll do is we'll get engine start. Everyone around, if you're going, you get going. No worries, don't worry about us. But we are... Are they pushing back? Ooh, so we could push back onto that taxiway behind us. Okay. The controller said expect call when ready for engine start. Let's find out. Manta 243 ready for engine start. Stand 12.
Manta 243 engine start approved. QNH 1015.
QNH 1015. And can we just confirm we're going to self-maneuver forwards, or are we going to push back from this stand?
Manta 243. It's a self-maneuvering stand, so you just push forward.
Thank you very much, Manta 243. Okay, that's answered that then. So off go with the ground crew in this great symphony of movement. I really like it. Nothing ever happens that that consecutively in real life. We can hide all of those. Oh yeah. Oh dear. I've only done half our job. Let's get that APU up and running. Get the seatbelts on. Now the fuel is on board. Let's go through our flow. So ground control is on. That's all in nav. Lights are in auto, or strobes are. Get the APU up and running. So fuel pumps are on. That's all set. We've got our stop altitude of 5,000 feet. QNH now 1015. We need to set. Let's get these screens turned up for ourselves over here. Excellent news. Yeah, 5,000 feet stop altitude. It's in. Coming down here. We've been cleared, so we're going to put the transponder to transponder XPDR. We've got plenty of extra fuel. That isn't the right. There we go. Weather radar obviously off. Okay, so let's run our checklist before we start checklist. Cockpit prep is completed. Gear pins and covers removed. Signs are on and auto. ADIs are in nav. Fuel quantity is 12 tons and balanced. It's all in the right place, in the wings. Takeoff data is set, and it's set on the PFD. Barra F QNH 1015. Windows and doors closed. Beacon on. Mobile phone off. Thrust levers, definitely check they are at idle. And parking brake is set. Okay, so we just need that APU to get up and running. It is now available.
EasyJet 129, are you ready for your
Let's get
clearance,
rid of
sir?
the ground power. Let it warm up before we turn on the bleeds, but we can do this.
EasyJet 129.
Engine start was already
clears to
approved,
attend.
so
Lower end
we
to
are
Delta
ready to go. You'd
departure.
normally have a ground crew
Initial
talking
flight
to you
level
anyway at this
5,000
point.
feet, squawk 6455.
5 says cries an AP fire test. You don't have to do an AP fire test every turnaround, so we're sort of imagining we've arrived and then we're heading out in the same sort of day, or same crew, same flight. So the fire test has to be run from the cold and dark, and most airlines will have a sort of time that you're going to redo it, probably swapping crew. So yeah, there we go. Ethan Robbins says, what's QNH? QNH is how we adjust the pressure setting, because the altimeter works on air pressure outside, so air pressure changes all the time, so you have to just calibrate it. So they'll tell you the pressure outside, you set it there, and it will show you an accurate altitude on the ground here. Lauren V, good to see you as well. Thanks for coming along again. And Death, always. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Right, here we go then. Let's start up that engine. So APU, bleed on. Engine mode select to ignition. We'll do both engines because we're not going to taxi far. So 2 engine taxi means we're going to start engine 2 first. There's pressure at the start valve. Engine master 2.
I'm just right next to Charlie, so I can just go on Charlie taxiway.
Tunisia 1715, that is correct. My question was, can you take an intersection Charlie departure, sir?
Great, there we go, up and running. Let's start up engine number... Oh, it's not up and running. It looked like it was. There we go.
Can you take off from intersection
Avail.
Charlie
Let's
instead
start engine
of
number
having a
1.
full-length runway?
Start the clock. Should have started the clock for the other start as well, but there we go. And that's spinning, and now...
I just checked right now. Negative, sir. I need full.
Tunisia 1715, no problem. Taxi to holding point Charlie. Straight ahead. You taxi straight ahead.
Taxi straight ahead and hold the short on Charlie. Tunisia 1715.
It is a great looking engine. I think both the NEO engines look really nice on the A321 especially. But as I always say, really reassuring to look out the window and see that there, I think. They're a great aesthetic design anyway. Okay, back on the flight deck. That's Avail, so that's good. Let's go. Mode select to norm. APU bleed off. APU off. Don't need the engine anti-ice. Down here. Flaps to 1. And trim it off 28.7. Checking back up on here, 28.7. It is indeed. No doubt that's bang in the middle, as it always is on my streams. Yeah, of course. I can't even change that and get it away from 28.7, I don't think. So there we go. Right. Let's see if we can get ourselves... Well, actually, no, we're not going to see anything. We're going to do our checklist. So after that checklist, anti-ice is off. Ecam status is checked. Pitch trim is set. Rudder trim is at 0. Let's get ourselves some taxi.
Easy 129, engine start approved, QNH 1015.
Start approved, QNH 1015. Correction 1015.
Manta 243, request taxi. We are able intersection Charlie.
Manta 243, behind the Air Malta, Airbus 320, taxi to holding point Charlie via Victor and uniform.
Behind the Air Malta A320, taxi via Victor and uniform to holding point Charlie, Manta 243. So that's behind the Manta Air Malta in front. Let's get our... Actually, I'll leave the lights off, just to show them that we aren't going to move. And also, if it was nighttime, the lights are very bright. It could dazzle them. So they're manoeuvring off. let's just make sure we know where we're going to go after them. This is a congested little apron now with all of us arriving. I should have warned the controller, but they seem to be all over it. What I don't have is the parking chart. There we go. Oh, that doesn't help much.
Juliet, request taxi via April intersection Charlie.
Where is it written?
Malta 141 Juliet, stand by. Your taxi will be given in around 2 minutes. Standing by, Malta 149 Juliet.
I'm sure. Did we not have an apron chart for this? Parking stands and coordinates. That's the one. Okay, apparently not.
Skyway 8271, request engine start.
Well, I know Victor is in front of us because I can see it, so it's going to be a right turn on Victor. And then we'll take presumably uniform before reaching Charlie up there. So yeah, how interesting.
Engines are approved, QNH 1015.
Peter Fitch, good to see you. Hopefully we can teach you something on the stream, but yeah, thanks for coming along. You're very welcome. Okay, so they're passed, so we can stick those lights on now. You're going to check again left and right. You're going to make sure the ground crew have got out of the way from downstairs. You wouldn't do any checklist until you were sure they were out of the way. Okay, it's our turn. So, brakes released. It will, even at this weight, roll forward probably. No, it would in fact pretty much roll forward on 2 engines without any difficulty. Unless you were pointing uphill, you wouldn't need to do too much. And, oh, it does feel slow panning around in this compared to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Got so used to that. Now we are in a 321, so we want to do a little bit of oversteering, which is when we put that nose past the line and then bring it round. This way we can avoid carving up this WOW Air. Oh, that's a great WOW Air livery with the face drawn on it. Yeah, that's good fun. Let's get that nose round. And tight apron here, so that seems to have worked. Although they're a bit far forward. I know that's just where X-Plane spawns us, but there we go. Let's do our brake check. So, squeeze the brakes and look for the needles not to rise. They don't. To be honest, on modern aircraft, it probably wouldn't rise anyway, because it uses a different hydraulic system. But there we go. Let's do some flight controls. Full left, full right, neutral, full down, full up, neutral, rudder, full left, full right, neutral. It's quite common. Air traffic control at airports like this will ask for intersections, and they it's common to tell them your intersection you can do before you taxi. So yeah, it's great that they're doing that here. That way they might line someone up like this who's backtracking, and meanwhile this aircraft could take off straight away from the intersection. Now the problem we've got is we're not ready. So let's do as uniform. So we're going to take uniform and then left to Charlie. Okay, I'm going to have to get around the turns and then do that. What I probably should have done is a bit of this before we set off, as it's such a tight little taxiway. The NEOs, one thing I'll say about the NEOs is they don't actually roll away as quickly as the IAE engines do. So there's the Charlie holding point. I can see it out there.
179, just to confirm, can you take an intersection takeoff? Affirmative, with 179.
Let's just make sure we can see Charlie. Some airports will even write the takeoff distance available. So you'll get here and there'll be a board showing you exactly the takeoff run you have. So let us get that weather radar on, predicted wind shear on, TCAS to TAR8. Oh, let's not go off the side of the taxiway while we're doing that. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Let's get ourselves parked up. You wouldn't want to sit too close because obviously you get exhaust fumes out of the airplane in front, so even that's probably quite close. Parking brake set. Yeah, that's not too bad. It always looks closer out the front. Anyway, so that's the radar on. Let us do the TCAS. We'll do the maximum auto brake. We'll ding on the cabin crew. We will do the takeoff config. Neo engines or the Leap engines need 3 minutes warm up, so we'll leave those. They've already had about at least a minute or two. But yeah, so typical to start the timer actually after the second engine is just finished starting, so you can time them if they're cold. If they're hot, not such an issue. And by hot, I mean flown recently within a couple of hours. Let us run our checklist before takeoff. Checklist: flight controls checked, flight instruments checked, briefing confirmed. Flap settings are config 1 plus F up there, config 1 in there.
Contact tower 135.1.
Tower 135.1, Manta 243. Thank you, goodbye.
Cheers, have a safe trip.
135.
Manta 14, Mike Juliet. Lower ground.
1351. So I'm not going to pretend to air traffic control I'm ready until I am. Looks like we're going to have this aircraft take off in front anyway. We will be ready in 10. So you can sometimes helps to tell air traffic that you are ready or not. But anyway, let's finish our checklist then. So briefing confirmed, flaps in config, 1 green, 1 blue. FMA and takeoff data. We've got our speeds 156, 159. Brake max, climb nav blue. That is correct for the 321 NEOs. They have this added. 1 FD2 for our flight director, stopping at 5,000 feet on that departure. Transponder is set to TARA. ECAM memo is takeoff, no blue. Cabin is secure. Engine mode select to normal. TCAS TARA. Packs will be on for this takeoff.
Line up and wait behind on runway 31, Air Malta 123.
Tower, good evening. Manta 243, holding point Charlie, ready for departure.
Station calling course on any?
Manta 243.
Manta 243, thank you. Luke Tower, good evening. Hold position.
Hold position, Manta 243. There we go. There's traffic in front. This is great. So many, so many flights going.
Good evening. Manta 14, Mike Juliet. Holding short Charlie in sequence for departure.
SM, no, we'll try not to bump into you. We've got a few behind as well.
Mike Juliet, Luke Tower, thank you.
It's great. We do keep picking congested airports where it's quite difficult for everyone to get on at once. Stephen Barker says, I've watched most of the videos several times, but stuff doesn't work on the fly-by-wire mod like his does. This is the X-Plane 11 ToLiss, which is really advanced, really mature product. They've put a lot of work into it. So this one does have a lot of working features, but the fly-by-wire mod is improving. I mean, even since my latest video on it, they've added features. We'll talk about a few of those on the way. Mr. Dillon says, does the 320 NEO have the brake max on PFD? Not at the moment, not that I've seen. However, software like that can sometimes be updated later, so it may get added. So we can go from this intersection, which is good news for air traffic control and us. Yeah, I mean 80 tons is not extreme weight for a 321. I'm still a little surprised about the flap setting, but there we go. Still thinks we can do it. Oh, I'm having trouble with my brakes again. Part brake on. There we go.
Malta Tower, Air Malta 123, ready for takeoff. Runway 31, Air Malta 123.
Shepherd's pie for Dougal. Dougal's off for dinner. Excellent. I hope you're doing well, Dougal. Enjoy your dinner.
23, roger, hold position.
Assad says, which instrument rating do you hold? Well, you'll have an instrument rating as part of your license to become an airline pilot, and then you'll have a type rating on the airplane you fly. So a commercial instrument rating is what you have, basically.
Malta 123, winds 300 degrees, 17 knots, runway 31, clear takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 31, Air Malta 123.
Okay, traffic going in front, so fingers crossed will be any moment. Let's have our SID chart ready to go.
Malta Tower, good evening. Wizz Air 179 at holding point Charlie. Wizz Air 179, hello. Malta 243 via Charlie, runway 31, line up and wait.
Via Charlie, line up and wait, runway 31, Manta 243. Sorry, I wasn't laughing at anyone on the stream here. I was laughing at a comment. Someone said, the pilots now wonder whether they've left their stove on. But the magic is, half the time you'll be flying back home again. So it's probably in your favour to be leaving and going back if you're worried about the stove suddenly. Right, all of the lights on to make us as visible as possible before we enter the runway. we finished our checklist. So let's get ourselves ready to go. I don't know how good the audio for the engines will be for you guys. But yeah, it's I'm having to just balance things because I was showing up as very quiet.
Malta control for Air Malta 123 on 130.975. See ya. See ya, thanks.
There we go. There's a bright old livery. Now, I don't want to waste any runway, so I'm going to do a sort of a mixture of a turn here. Because your performance won't be from here necessarily. It'll probably be from somewhere in between. Those yellow lines aren't guides for the takeoff distance. They're actually just vacating lines. They don't show you where to line up. They just show you where to vacate. It's a bit of an oversteer there. And we are ready to go. Should be a strong headwind. That's probably why the performance is in our favour for this one. Why don't you use nav lights? Are the nav lights off? Oh, well, they can be off in the daylight like this, but we'll put them on. Because it's typically shown for power on. I missed that one. Yeah, thanks. But again, you'd have no trouble if you took off with them off. Okay. Almost time to go. Harry, we are on VATSIM indeed.
Manta 243, winds 300, 17 knots, runway 31, clear takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 31, Manta 243. Right.
Manta 14, Mike Juliet, fire Charlie.
Start the clock.
Runway 31, line up and wait.
Oh. Start the clock. Get those engines up to 50%, which is easy on the NEOs or CFMs because you can just do that. Half side stick forwards. Release that brake. Through to flex. Man, flex 59, SOS runway. Order thrust is armed and blue. Off we go. Let's go to Cairo. We're going to release that forward side stick pressure as we pass through 80 knots. 80 to 100, there it is. I hope the wind is actually loaded into the sim because our performance figures probably count on it. There we go. Getting our money's worth out of this runway. Although I suppose not because we started from halfway up. B1, rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav. Keep pitching up. I'm not sure why the flight director is trying to drop down so low already. But there we go. Bring ourselves onto that track. Leaving the lovely island of Malta. We had a great flight down here. Really enjoyed it. I remember it well actually. It was a good fun stream. So we'll have to revisit in probably Microsoft Flight Simulator to see some extra scenery at some point. Okay, through 1500 feet above the runway. Lever climb flashing, so we're going to bring those thrust levers back to climb. Lower the nose.
243, contact Malta control 130.97, bye bye.
130.97, Manta 243. Thanks very much. Bye bye.
See ya.
See ya. Very good. Right, autopilot 1 can come in. We are now accelerating. Thrust levers back, so we've got thrust climb and auto thrust. It's armed, so we've got out blue 5000, which is good news. And we are going to continue to be, well, already above 2,500 feet, so we've made our first constraint. I'm just going to wait until I've cleaned up the airplane before I talk to air traffic control. You don't want to be doing radio calls while you're supposed to still be bringing the flaps in. Okay, there's the flaps auto retracting at the back. Above S-speed now, we'll bring the flaps to 0.
Manta 14, Mike Juliet.
Okay.
Winds 300 degrees, 17 knots,
Right.
runway 31, clear takeoff.
Frequency was 130.975. Now we're going to start climbing very fast in a second, so let us do that. Speed, vertical speed 1000. We're about to level off with 1,000 feet to go. I'm going to bring that there so I can keep an eye on it. Pretend I'm pilot monitoring as well. And let's go to 130.975. Who are probably wondering where we are. If you wait too long, eventually probably this tower now would check that you've... well, they would probably soon be thinking about asking you whether you're still here because you've forgotten to swap. Because it does happen. It does happen. Water control, Manta 243 on a go deck 2 Delta, passing 4,200 feet, climbing 5,000 feet.
Zimex 343,
Malta Control, good evening. You are identified. Climb flight level 350. Proceed direct to Arlos.
Climb flight level 350 and direct Arlos. Manta 243, thank you. Okay, excellent news. Direct to Arlos.
Okay, so your close is Manta, right. Sorry for that then.
No worries at all. Thanks very much. Manta 243. Okay, there we go. 350. Let's set standards. Let's go to open climb, or in fact, you can do managed climb at this point because there's no more restrictions. Thrust climb. Outward 350 is in. Away we go. Right, Alan Story, thank you very much. Very generous of you. Thank you for your £10 donation. Alan says, "Hi, Captain. Please enjoy your flight. I can pick it up later in the video mode." Yep, please do, Alan. I hope to see you back and well soon, and all the best to your family and your wife. We hope things get better very quickly for you guys. Yeah, thank you very much for the support. Always appreciate it, and it's incredibly generous of you. So thank you very much. But yeah, all the best to your wife. Any Game Gaming, £2 donation with a Hey You pair. Thank you very much, Any Game Gaming. Thank you very much. Appreciate the support. I hope you're doing well. Excellent choice of sticker with the pair. We have had a few pairs appear on the channel. Absolutely. Right, there we go. Let's do our after takeoff climb checklist. Do we have one of those on this checklist? No, we don't. No worries. Right, when the flaps are at 0, we disarm the ground spoilers. We turn off the nose wheel lights because they are not visible. Let's get a flying away moment. Fantastic. There we go. Leaving the island. A very nice island to have been on holiday on, I'm sure, but I'm expecting Cairo to be lovely as well. Also warm. Very warm compared to what we're used to up here. So normally we set off from these and we're going back somewhere cold, but now we get to go somewhere else, somewhere fun. Any Game Gaming, you're welcome. Thank you very much, Any Game Gaming, for your donation, and thanks again to Alan. Oh, and hello to Any Game Gaming. I didn't see your hello there. Oh yes, thank you, Matteo. Yeah, if you are enjoying the video, please do hit the like button. It really makes a difference for YouTube's algorithm, as you are all probably aware at this point. So it would be amazing if you are enjoying to press like, because it makes a huge difference. Right, accelerating through 10,000 feet. Get those landing lights off so they don't rumble in the cabin. Nose is nice and low, so we'll let the passengers walk. We can bring up the FCDU now and clear out the RadNav page, so I no longer need that distance and I no longer need that NDB. Secondary, I'll just make another copy of the active to update it with where we are. Thank you all for the likes. I can see them coming in. That's really kind. That's great. That it does us so much good for the channel, so thank you. And thank you all for coming along. 400 viewers, yeah, brilliant. I hope you're all enjoying it. Corrosive Moon says, Cairo is cold during winter's icy. Now, Corrosive Moon was very keen to get a hoodie added to the store, the merch store, so we did. And I was expecting to see cold temperatures, I thought. But I saw that the average low temperature in January is 1 degree, which is pretty low. But the average actual temperature is 19. So I don't know how cold it actually is. Of course, that's just according to Google. No idea if that's true. But Corrosive Moon, I suppose when it's 35 degrees in summer, 10 degrees would feel pretty chilly, wouldn't it? And away we go. Fantastic. So there was our departure. We went out, round. I love flying back over the airport. It gives you a good sense of how powerful these machines are and the ridiculous performance they offer. Really amazing. I am enjoying the Leap mod as well. Not mod, I keep saying mod because it was a mod for so long. But this edition, this is the size engine this airplane deserved when it was made, I think. Livery is available! ! Livery into the chat, and you can go and download your very own bright neon pink and blue Manta livery. There we go. Ikray0002 from the Discord and also our controller for today says, hi from Luca Ground, was a pleasure to help out. Thank you very much, Ikra. Thank you for your €2 donation. I really appreciate it. And also thank you so much for coming along with all the controllers to the stream. I know it was a bit of a busy busy moment, but I hope that was fun for you guys, and thank you so much for controlling us as we left. It's been really great. Really adds something to the flights when you get some ground controllers or any controllers. So thank you for doing that, and thank you to your team for coming along. Joseph is right behind us as Manta 1 for Mike Julia. Excellent. We'll be able to see you. Usually it's a bit easier when we're up in the air. There we go. I think I can just make out the lights there. Excellent. I'll be looking up on my map soon. Good stuff. So, you're going to keep climbing. Straight up to 350. Pretty good direct that as well. We're going to be going straight away. Have I just gone quiet? Oh dear. Let me see what could have happened. It's not showing us any issues with this end.
Wizard 17, proceed direct
Let me
Arlos.
just see.
Direct Arlos, Wizard 17.
Seems okay. I can turn down the airplane a little bit if that helps. But yeah, keep the feedback coming. Thanks. Baptiste Bori says, thank you for all your fascinating videos. I learned so much from them watching somewhere not so far from LFPO. I believe that's Paris Orly. So Baptiste, thank you very much for your €5 donation. I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well in Paris. And thanks so much. Again, I always say this, so regular viewers will be bored of hearing it, but it's great to know that you guys enjoy the videos. So thank you so much for your donation. It really helps the channel, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, and James Cooper as well, very kind. £5 donation. James says, for 100k, would you consider a real-life GoPro-style cold and dark setup in an A320, blurring your face, airline logo, etc.? So James Cooper, thank you very much for the £5 donation. I really appreciate it. It's really kind. And yeah, thank you so much for contributing to the channel as ever. But James, sadly, I won't be able to do any real footage because even if I blur the airline out and so on, it's just not that's just not what I'm allowed to do, really. I can't do that, sadly. I wish we could. I think it would be great fun, and there are videos on YouTube out there. Some people have filmed it. It may not be the way I would do a cold and dark setup, or more likely it's probably, I know some of the videos are a bit older, so the procedures change all the time. But there are some videos out there, but sadly, no, I won't get away with it. There'll be no way also for me to blur everything to make it look convincingly like you would always probably be able to work out the airline or the airport or something. Someone always would. But I'm just not allowed, sadly. But thank you very much for your £5 donation. I appreciate it, James, and I hope you continue to enjoy the videos. Sound is fine. Good stuff. Okay, good. Question. The ILS lines on taxiways near the runway, do they mark the ILS beam's interference area? So EBOS had that question. EBOS, what that's saying is the holding points are just to keep you clear of the runway. So there are specific low visibility holding points in airports that can do low visibility ILSs, so auto lands, Cat 2 and Cat 3 sort of stuff. They will have even further back holding points that will be used when you want to use low visibility procedures, which will enable you to do auto lands. So you'll see here that there is not another intersection. There's only Charlie here. So I'm guessing Malta does not have low visibility approaches. Let's see. I may be about to eat my words. Approach. RS31 certainly. No. See, it's a Cat 1 only approach. ILS to a 200-foot decision height. So it would need to have additional holding points further away from the runway to keep it from interfering with the ILS. But yeah, that's what those lines would be. But there's usually two sets. One set for normal weather and one set for those. Ethan Robbins, a US $3.99 donation. Thank you very much, Ethan. I really appreciate it. Ethan says, can you recommend your favourite plane to fly in X-plane? Controversial question, Ethan. Thank you very much for your contribution. Again, I really appreciate it. It always helps out the channel. I hope you're doing very well, presumably in America. Favourite plane in X-plane? It's going to be... Well, I can tell you what I've got. I've got the Builds A300, the Flight Factor 757, the ToLiss A321. I have a couple of others that I haven't used, so I can't pass judgment yet. The ToLiss 321 is amazing. It's really good. It is really good. So if you like your Airbus, then in X-Plane, I just think it's just fantastic. The performance is great in terms of frame rates as well, and I really, really enjoy it. However, also, I love flying the 757 in X-Plane, but that's probably because I've always wanted to fly a 757. It's something I won't get to do, most likely, that they're not really around in the air anymore, or there are very, very few places that have them. So I personally enjoy flying the 757 a lot, but is it a better product than the A320? I don't know. I think they're about the same. I really do. And to be honest, they're very similar aeroplanes anyway, in terms of size and everything like that. I mean, I think the ToLiss is amazing. It is amazing. So I can't fault it, and I really do enjoy flying it. So ToLiss A321, Flight Factor 757 are my favourites at the moment. Put it that way. Ikra002, glad you liked it. The Morgan Thomas Show says, would love to hear you run through cabin and crew announcements on a future flight. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, there's something I could talk a little bit about. I won't be able to talk too much about, well, announcements we could do. Pack X, is it called? That option where you can have passengers and you have to look after them. That's something someone mentioned in a video comments that they'd like to see me try. So that's something I've definitely been thinking about. Oh, the ToLiss has much better flyby sounds. I think the Flight Factor 757's flyby sounds aren't that great, but the ToLiss ones are really good. Liam Adamson, £4.99 donation. Thank you very much, Liam. I really appreciate that. Says, this is long overdue. Love your videos, mate. Thank you very much, Liam. That's very kind of you to say. I'm glad you've enjoyed the videos. Nothing's due at all, of course. These videos will be coming anyway, but it's really kind of you guys who choose to also help out the channel. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much, Liam. Ooh, we didn't load in the wind. Too late now. So we could type it in, or what I should do is... Ooh, a bit late for all of that, actually. So what I could do now is actually enter the wind at the points. But yeah, Liam, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Dougal says Pack X is actually pretty good. Yeah, that's something I might consider for future. It depends if you guys want to see it. I've avoided it because I've mostly been talking about the aeroplane and not... We haven't ever had that much time to do other stuff on the streams, typically. But a few of these flights are getting a bit longer now, so maybe that could be an option.
Proceed to direct to Arlos and type flight level 330, Skyways 827.
Mateo says, self-loading cargo is the add-on for passengers. Beware, cabin crew. Simulates your 10-year-old son talking. Okay. Enrico Bianchi says, you should try the Malta Concorde. I'd love to see you struggle with all the buttons and switches. Enrico, thank you very much. That is definitely an option for the future. Yeah. I'm going to have to do a lot of learning to be able to work it, though. I can tell that. Vuti2, £5 donation. Thank you very much. That's really appreciated. Thank you. Vuti says, thanks for all the hard work. It makes complicated theory and practices make sense. Good on you, Captain. Thanks so much, Vuti. I really appreciate it. Again, always great to hear. When I started the channel, I thought, it'd be fun to look into these aircraft and provide some explanation for people who otherwise wouldn't have wouldn't really know much about the Airbus, or it could seem a bit intimidating to try and figure out. But it's amazing how kind you guys all are, and people are often seem quite happy with the way I explain things. So I'm really glad to hear it. It's really great. So thank you very much, Ruti, and thank you for your £5 donation. Again, much appreciated, and yeah, just brilliant support. Thank you so much. The Morgan Thomas Show says, let's say I'm a passenger and my flight is at 8 AM. What time does the pilot show up to start readying the plane? It will depend on the airport you're at and the size of the airport. The pilots will probably show up at work something like an hour to an hour and a half before the flight departs. They'll probably need to be at the aeroplane, I don't know, 45 minutes before. It's typical. You could get an aeroplane ready in 30 minutes quite easily as pilots on the Airbus. The Airbus is very well designed, but you probably need a bit more than 30 minutes to get all the passengers boarded and everything. So typically about 45. Mateo says, for the Concorde, have a look at the 104th Maverick on YouTube. He's the master of Concorde X-Plane 11. Yes, I have seen that channel, the channel 104th Maverick, yeah. So that is where I'd have to go to get some Concorde studying in. Panda has a long question there, or a long answer that I'll give for that question. But I'll get back to your question, Panda, shortly, or do remind me if I don't. Phil Norbeck, $20 donation, very kind of you. Thank you very much, Phil. I really appreciate it. Phil says, father flew for US Airways when I was young. Absolutely hated flying the A320. Is there an Airbus, a feature that you think Airbus does better? I know you don't fly Boeing in real life. Yes. Oh, wow. Well, oh, wow. What a question. Thank you very much for your $20 donation, Phil. I really appreciate it. Really kind, as I said. And it's, again, your community, or you were very generous, and that's very kind of you, Phil. I hope you're doing well over in America. Is there a feature that I think Airbus does better? Yes. Can I say that? There's good in both of them, of course. They're both fantastic machines, no doubt about it. I like the space. I'm comparing this more to a 737, which I have used the simulators of before, although I've never operated. We just watch our last 500 feet to level off. The Airbus has some great ergonomic design, in particular the overhead panel. This was all designed fresh in the 1980s, or slightly before probably, whereas the 737s is a bit older than that because it's come from the previous generations of 737. So, you know, as always, these things are built on what's come before and lessons learned industry-wide and all of that good stuff. So I think the ergonomics, Mac out star, there we go, leveling off, are very good in the Airbus. I've talked about this before, Mac out cruise, where the fact that you can, you know, change your flight level with one dial, you can turn and pull it, and then you'll get your open descent and so on. It's really slick system. It is good. It is good. So I think they've done a great job on where they've placed switches and the ease of access and setup for the pilots. You know, in the 737, you've got to test the overspeed warners and stall warners and things like that. And I've flown airliners that you have to do that as well. So that's quite common. But the Airbus is all, you know, self-regulating, or a lot of it is. It's great. It's a really good design. It really works for what it's designed for, I suppose. My other thing I like about the Airbus in particular is it's very capable. Now, I know long-haul Boeings are very capable, but I don't really know them that well. But for a short-haul aircraft, the A320 family is incredible. It's almost over-spec'd. You've got an airliner here that can auto-land with single engine in a crosswind. You know, it can do a go-around on single engine. All of this sort of stuff. It's amazing. It's really good. Yeah, really. And it can do that even with other failures. So that's what I do like about the Airbus. Very capable. It was once described to me. Panda says, what originally inspired you to go into aviation? Well, that's going to be just something I really don't know. Probably going on holiday, which is why I always like choosing those Air 2000s, Air Tours, Virgin Sun liveries that I remember from my childhood. So to those of you who've seen my older original streams back in the summer, we did a lot of those in those liveries before we brought out the SimPilot livery here. So yeah, so I really do like. Oh, that's probably what triggered me into aeroplanes. And back then you could visit the flight deck. Let's face it, I could come up and I could see the flight deck in the descent, and I remember walking through that door and you got the view out all the windows. It was amazing. Every time it blew me away, usually on a 757. So that definitely stuck in my head, and from then on just sort of fed that interest with endless flight simulators, starting with Flight Simulator 98, and every air show I could get to. So yeah, it's one of those things that I've had since forever, you know, since I was very little. Darren says that Azor's airline have flown the 321 long range Regatta to Lisbon, 9 hours 20 minutes. Excellent. Well, we can do long haul on this channel, and we may well take ourselves back there with the 321 NEO. Enrico enjoys the 104th Maverick as well. There you go. How long till a final approach is a great question. It's about a 2-hour flight. These times are all, oh, of course, ToLiss does this, which is not accurate, but I'm going to just connect the lines to give us a rough. Well, all the times are going to be wrong. So I've just cleared out that discontinuity. That way the line is drawn complete, and then it gives you these predictions. However, that is not accurate. The real airplane would give you a prediction anyway. But yeah, what does our overlay say? That's the question. That reckons 1937. So yeah, I could believe that. About an hour and a half to go. Dougal McTavish has posted about the next Simwings VFR group flight. It's around the Patagonian icefields of Chile. Wow, that sounds amazing. And is that presumably in Microsoft Flight Simulator, Dougal, I'm guessing, for the scenery. So the Simwings support group, they run these group flights to raise funds to then help provide Flight Simulator hardware and software to those who are active and enthusiastic in the community, but otherwise can't get themselves the equipment to join in fully with the Flight Simulator experience. So it's a great cause. So the link is there from Dougal, but also in my description. Bacon Morrow, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing well. James Cooper, another £5 donation. Thank you, James. Very kind. Being very generous, James. Thank you. James says, to certify for A350, A380, even Boeing, would that be your training choice or the airlines on a needs basis? Oh, airlines. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, if you fly for an airline that has those airplanes, then you would need to, well, it varies all over, but essentially no airline will give you your base or fleet unless they have a need to put you there. So you can often ask or request it, and then if you've requested it and someone else has requested something different, then they'll hopefully not do it the wrong way round. They'll help you out that way. But I won't get the option to just decide one day that I want to fly a different airplane, or you may need to change airline as well. So yeah, it's never that easy to just swap aircraft types. Yeah, but thank you very much for your £5 donation, James. Basti says, a big thank you for your videos. Microsoft Flight Simulator is my very first contact with flight sims, and I had to learn everything from scratch. You helped me a lot. That's amazing, Basti. Thank you so much. You know, with the videos I've been doing a lot of videos in the ToLiss leading up to this, up to we started doing some failures as well, and then Microsoft Flight Simulator came out, and you know, it's a bit of a tricky balance, but I'm glad everyone's stayed and has been enjoying the community and so on. And I had to sort of change my style a little bit and start talking with, you know, we started from scratch really with Microsoft Flight Simulator with some of those videos, because I was aware that those were beginners sort of videos. So that's really great to hear that that's worked for you. I'm really pleased, because we do, and you know, I've got plenty of quite in-depth ToLiss videos that you need to have watched a few of the others to understand. And in fact, I've got a new video coming out tomorrow where we're going to talk about the soft go-around feature of the ToLiss, which was added in the latest update, soft go-around. I've got a whole video ready to go, so that will be coming out tomorrow. But for those of you who haven't seen my go-around tutorials, and you can use either, you can use Microsoft Flight Simulator or my X-Plane 11 go-around tutorial, which is a bit older, then I highly recommend you watch those first, because it will make a lot more sense when you know a few extra things about the go-around. And then, yeah, tomorrow the video will be out talking about soft go-around. But it's going to be a video on the channel. You can watch it whenever, obviously. Chris Patton on the flight with us. Excellent. Sitting in my office cube pretending to work. Oh, I hope you're managing anyway, despite me talking away in the background. Yes. So VFR flights with Simwings support group are in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So if you've got that simulator, then you can, I think it's a small donation, and then you can join in on the group flights, which they'll have planned out. They do a great job of planning out destinations and joining in the chat with each other and everything. Yeah. Joe says, I've been flying a lot in the ToLiss A321, however find that my top of descent is too late and find that my descent speed is too high, busting speed constraints. What am I doing wrong? I mean, you have to... I have a video on when to descend as well on the channel. So you do have to have that in the back of your mind. It could be, like for today, I haven't got the winds loaded in. So the airplane will do a bad job at predicting, because the wind is so strong, it will do a pretty bad job of predicting things for me. Whereas if I was to have them loaded in, so it could be that you haven't got the winds. So on the ground, go to wind and then wind request. It's not available now, sadly. If you're in flight, I can now enter the cruise wind at Arlos. So a few ways to do that. If I go to, not that one, Avi tab, fill the screen, of course. We all know that's the policy on this channel. Right. Where have they written the winds? Wind component. There we go. Okay. So we are now, not that page. Oh, maybe it was that page. Where is it? Why can't I see it? Arlos, there it is. 259, 125. My goodness me. A flight level 350. Well, that's where we're going to be. So just leave that there. And then, I mean, that's a rough cruise wind. That won't have made too much difference. But yeah, alternatively, you can put in a wind component, which is always nice. However, I think that needs to be done on the ground. Yeah, it did. So that's my fault. Should have got the winds loaded in. But it could be the winds. That would be one reason the Airbus isn't getting the descent constraints right. In terms of busting speeds, if you're only busting the speed by 5 knots, things like that, then that's not a problem. If you're sort of 20, 30 knots fast, then that's a sign there's something wrong. The other thing is, the Airbus does a good job at descent constraints. But if you use entirely managed descent mode from the top of descent it gives you, there is a chance you'll be a bit high and fast on the approach. They are a little bit sporty. That is certainly... I mean, if I was using a pure Airbus descent, I'd be wary of that. Right, let's run through a bit of a check. We should have done this at the top of climb. I'm just going to keep pressing all to cycle through. But that's bringing it bigger for you guys. There we go. All looking good. All the air conditioning packs are working well. Using the intermediate pressure valve. Cabin altitude at 7,300 feet. So yeah, it would be about that up here. If we go any higher, that will rise quite quickly to 8,000, which is the maximum you'll see in a short-haul Airbus. You do get some airliners can keep that lower. I think the 747 used to have a lower cabin altitude, which is quite nice. Generators all working well. You'll notice a lot higher load on generator 1 than generator 2, which is quite typical. Hydraulic systems all looking good. Fuel, we're down to, well, just under 10 tons. Yeah, 9.8. We've burnt 2.2, so 9.8, 10.8, 11.8, 12. It adds up. So I'm adding the fuel left, fuel on board, to the fuel we've used. It all adds up. It's a good sign. These are our auxiliary tanks that are empty. APU's off and depowered. Temperatures are all looking good. Slides are all armed. Wheels cold. Great stuff. Again, you check those, but really you'll get an advisory on ECAM. You might get a slightly early sign that there's a problem. TCAS as well should really be to below. Let's zoom over here. TCAS below. That way we can see beneath us. Now, have I missed any calls from air traffic control? No, I don't think so. I think we're doing all right. I'm sure they'd have sent me a message. Mateo says, what's your cost index and cruise max speed? I might have to slow down. Ooh, yeah. So I'm doing .78, which was using cost index 42. To those of you flying along, let me have a look at the map. My VAT map. Great fun, this. Oh, there's a whole line of us. Fantastic. We'll take a screenshot of that. So we're being followed by the... Oh no, which one am I? 243. So there we go. Joseph behind. Yeah, quite a queue. Then the Wizz Air. Then Matteo. And UKV. UKV, which airline would UKV be? I'm not sure about that. And in front of us is the AMC, the Air Malta. Fantastic. Oh, this is great. Yeah, so these X-plane streams are sort of turning slowly into group flights of their own accord. Oh, I missed... Oh my goodness, I missed loads of chat. Valor Jurassic says, enjoying your channel, looking forward to a live stream somewhere in Australia. Yeah, Australia is on the cards as well. I'm debating about our next long haul trip, where to go and how we're going to get there. But we will definitely, I think there's no reason we shouldn't do another long haul at some point. Joe Vaughan will do a bit of a recap on top of descent and take notes. So I didn't do as much revision during my exams. Yeah. It you know, it all makes sense when you do it every day, but it's quite hard when you're just trying to pick it up. Where on earth did I? How far behind was I on the chat? Airbus says, any DCS on the planning? Looks so much fun when I'm looking at DCSs. Is the flight simulation of the same quality to X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator? Airbus, yes. DCS, the quality is incredible. You don't get much of a map. You can't do this sort of thing. But the quality of the aircraft and the simulation is amazing. And the F-14 flight model is ridiculously good. I absolutely love it. You can spin, you can stall, you can pull high G turns, and you'll feel the aircraft buffeting as you push it too far. It's amazing. So yeah, really love DCS. Yes, there is more planned. I just try to keep a balance on the channel because I know not everyone's here for DCS, but I need to get some more of that. I've got to focus on, well, not focus. I have the soft go around video coming, which will be applicable to both the ToLiss and Microsoft Flight Simulator, because that feature I think is in the A321X mod, or it will be soon. I also need to look at the new fly-by-wire system in the A321X mod, because they've done a great job rewriting it. So I want to get that checked out and get looked at, and then yeah, hopefully we can get some more DCS going. Alexander Beck has been very helpful looking at if we can get a server up and running for that. Hotel Trivago says, what is flex takeoff temp? So the flex temp is when you tell the airplane it's hotter outside than it actually is for takeoff. By doing that, it will use less thrust because it will provide less fuel to the engines. The reason it will provide less fuel is because with hotter air, which is less dense, you need less fuel, but you can't get as much thrust out of the engines. So it provides less fuel because it thinks the air is less dense, and you'll get a lower takeoff thrust. It's just a way of tricking the airplane to use less thrust on takeoff. The reason we do that is to save fuel, it's quieter, and the engines last longer. You can't always do it. You can only do it when you have spare performance, so when the runway is long enough, which is nearly always. But if you go to a short runway, or you're very heavy, or there's an obstacle in front of you, like a hill when you take off, then you might need to use toga thrust, full thrust. Woot123 says, high pressure and humidity is definitely noticeable on 350 787. Yeah, I think they have slightly lower altitude cabins, certainly the 78, and the 78 has the humidity as well. Chief Sim Pilot, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing well. Chief Sim Pilot, also a another YouTube streamer. Thanks for coming along, Chief Sim Pilot. Engage the like. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well. Busy with work? I suppose, yeah, of course.
Manta 243, report Mach number.
Manta 243, currently Mach decimal 78.
Manta 1 for Mike Juliet, reduce Mach 0.78 or less.
Mach 0.78 or less. On 1 for Mike Juliet.
Now that's something you can usually hear the disappointment in other pilots' voice when they get given that command, because presumably they were flying faster than that to be told to slow down. Not always. Sometimes air traffic will just say not faster than 78. But if you get a situation like that, yeah, you'll hear the pilots do that. Sometimes if you're told what speed are you doing, some pilots will be quite quick to say something like, oh, well, we can do whatever you need to say we can speed up. But yeah, 78 is quite a good cruise speed, really. You'll see that we don't have a huge buffer either way. So if we go any faster, 7.9, then any turbulence like we just had, in particular, a strong tailwind like this is something to be wary of. The reason is this is a jet stream. We're going to come out of this jet stream, and when we do, this tailwind will disappear, and it can disappear quite rapidly, and we may disappear out the side of the jet stream. If that happens, if you've got an 87 knot tailwind that suddenly disappears, you're going to gain energy the whole time it's disappearing, which means you're going to have a risk of overspeeding, because the engines will react, but there's a bit of a delay, of course, and the air's thin up here. So you don't want to be sitting right at the top in strong winds like this. That's asking for trouble. Yeah. Turtle Kayak says, do I really need to turn my cell phone onto airplane mode during takeoff and landing? Yes. Yes, Turtle Kayak, you do. The reason is they can have interference for all sorts of things. And in airplane mode, so someone asked me, I think it was on the long haul stream, someone said, why on earth do I have to still put my cell phone, mobile phone, onto flight safe mode when I'm allowed to use the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and things like that? And the reason is your phone is trying to transmit a signal to a mast, wherever it is, which could be miles away. And to do that, it puts out quite a bit more energy than Wi-Fi, where it's only trying to transmit, a few meters away. So the signal your phone is trying to broadcast, if you have it off of airplane mode, is that it's trying to reach an antenna tower a long way away. And then you're sitting in a metal tube, so it gets that signal reflected back at it. And they're not really designed for that. If you read the instructions, they'll say, do not use near big metal objects like, big girders and things like that, and steel beams and all sorts if you're in big buildings. And they're not really supposed to be used like that. So for a start, you're just going to drain your battery really fast. But also they can still give that interference in the headset. So that noise, which you'll probably recognize. And also, there's no way of knowing. There's so many combinations of different equipment and mobile phones. There's no way of knowing for sure that it won't interfere with the ability of the airplane to fly the approach. And there have been cases in the past of it interfering with instruments and things like that. So yes, you do still have to keep it in airplane mode during takeoff and landing. Marty says, good to see you coming to Cairo. Yeah, excited to go. Chief Sim Pilot says, thanks for having us, Captain. Always good to see you doing this for us. No, you're very welcome. And thanks for coming along. Thanks for saying hi. Richard V, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Richard V, our long-time moderator and contributor. Thank you for coming along. I hope you're doing well. No worries about being late. We've still got a fair old way to go, really. This is quite a serious flight. There's about 1,000 things I haven't done that I was supposed to do already.
Malta Center, Austrian 125, a question. Do you proceed pen?
Austrian 125, yes, I can do it.
So then, pen, Austrian 125 heavy. We have problems with hydraulics. I don't know the problem.
Oh dear,
yet,
someone's having issues. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just munching on a cookie. Someone in the chat, SM, has said the sim crashed, so we're number 2 behind outside. Oh, SM, that's a shame. Hopefully you can join back in, or if you're using the ToLiss, you'll be able to use the autosave feature. Right, somebody said, so Felipe said, flex takeoff, which is what we were talking about earlier, using the reduced thrust takeoff, uses less fuel, but the takeoff roll is longer. Thus, the economical result from flex takeoff is less, but that doesn't always mean you're saving fuel. The wear on engines is the point. So what you're getting into there is a great point.
Okay, so
There's a constant balance to these things. So what seems obviously more efficient or cheaper isn't always.
Stopping descent 200, thanks.
So if you're using less thrust for takeoff, you're going to obviously, yeah, use the longer takeoff roll. But what does that wear out? Well, probably tyre wear would be the thing that jumps to my mind. But it should save fuel, just because it's, especially those first few degrees of flex are a big change in engine thrust, big change. But there are all sorts of things like that, where you're trying to balance brake wear and weight and tankering fuel. So if fuel's cheaper in one place and you want to carry it with you because it's cheaper and that's going to save you money instead of buying it where you're going, that's fine. But then you've got to spend fuel to carry that fuel because it weighs, and that weight is also going to impact your brakes when you land and tyre wear. And it's amazing. It's a really complicated thing that airlines will spend a lot of time trying to work out what's the most efficient way for them to do something. That's all way above my my knowledge or abilities. Victor Tango says there's a very nice tailwind as well over the US. My ground speed is 515 knots. Very good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, Antti says plane systems are pretty well shielded, but they don't want to take any risks. That's talking about using a mobile phone. Yeah, I could agree with that. We are using VATSIM, Daniel. Richard V says, have we got any holdies on board? I suppose we do. We got about we're at 150, so that would be the busiest hold we've had, I think. I don't know if the hold in the 350 got that big or that busy. Richard V is talking about when we did our long haul flight. We managed to go the entire 11 hours with too many passengers for our aeroplane. We had about, I think, over 400 people watching most of the time. Jonathan Daniel says, poor Boeing pilots, they actually have to fly the planes. Airbus planes are on and off buttons. So the funny thing is that the 737, compared to the first or other airplanes I've flown, even that is really, I mean, it is really advanced. It has lateral nav, VNAV, which is our nav, and our VNAV over here, which is our climb and descent mode. It's got flight level change, which is open descent. So in terms of automation, yeah, the 737 it does all the same things. The only difference is I don't think it can do quite as many single engine things with the autopilot. Now, having said that, you must remember that when we train those maneuvers without the autopilot. It's not like we can get away with, we have to practice and get examined on doing go-arounds on single engine manually, of course, not with the autopilot. So Airbus pilots are used to it because they have to be, just as much as a Boeing pilot. But it's just in real life you have that option of the real autopilot being available to you, which is a really nice thing to have available, no doubt. Right, I've missed loads of chat. I do apologise. Again, I'm going to have to jump down. So if you've asked a question and I've missed it, feel free to gently suggest it again at a moment where you see it quiet enough. Peter Fitch says, what can you do if the active waypoint is already already the runway in the MCDU, but the controller gives you a direct? Normally I would click on the active waypoint and put the new in the next waypoint. I think, I'm trying to understand the question, but I think what Peter Fitch is saying is, what if we're flying and we fly through the overhead? So we fly over the head of our destination as part of our arrival. And there is a risk that the aeroplane will sequence to one of the waypoints earlier on, but then air traffic control want you to go to one of these waypoints further back up. It is possible, it does happen. It's particularly possible if you're doing final app style approaches where you could get radar vectored too close to one of your waypoints. So it's an interesting point. Either in the real aircraft you can scroll, so I could press that arrow and it would take me back one waypoint and it would redraw it for me. So that is an option in the real airplane, but only one waypoint back. Otherwise, fly the airplane first. So you may, if you've been given direct, put direct, type in the waypoint, and then maybe reselect the arrival. So by going here, arrival, and reselecting it, that would be the other way around it. But yeah, it's not ideal, and it does happen. It does happen. And it takes careful consideration. It takes two pilots to fix that problem. Yeah, it's not ideal. British Airways _YouTube says, how are you? I'm fine. I hope you are well. James Cooper said, be interested to see a video simulating a pan-pan medical emergency from, say, flight level 350 and how you would communicate, find an airport, adjust MCDU. The problem with that, James, is, and I have done sort of a handling failure video where I talk a bit about how we deal with it. It's very much going to be a multi-crew thing dealing with that situation. So I might be able to give some idea, but it wouldn't be the full deal.
Negative, we are now at 180. It's really hard to control this plane. It's always drifting to the right.
Oh dear, I wonder what's happened. Although I had that on my last Microsoft Flight Simulator stream where
left turn, even for heading 150 maybe.
I had on my last Microsoft Flight Simulator stream, I had an issue where I was leaning on the rudder pedals. I didn't realise, I couldn't understand why the airplane was constantly turning. Victor Tango says, do you ever talk to your airline dispatch directly? Yep, that does happen. Yep. Stephen Barker says, so when you're taking off, you let it stabilise at 50% N1, then push forward to flex MCT, and the plane then controls the thrust itself based on the weights and flex temp. Yes, Stephen, absolutely. So you let it stabilise at 50, and then all you have to do is move it to that gate, flex MCT, and as long as you set this performance page up right, which is gone now, obviously, the takeoff performance page, it will just provide the right thrust for that setting. Yeah. And if you're not happy, or you're not sure, or you've forgotten, and you'll know that you've forgotten to enter a flex temp because it will say the wrong thing up here, it might say MCT, something like that, then just use toga thrust instead. Oh, I'm way behind on the chat again. Oh no. I do apologise. Yeah, there's a livery, there's a link to the livery. What I can do, and what I should probably do, if I can find it in time, is pin that. Let's see if I can do that while streaming, which is always a fantastic risk. Do please leave a review if you are enjoying the livery. It should all be there, and I've set up the config file as well. There we go. And this new livery works on all variants of the sorry, I hopeless. I'm hopeless at typing things into chat while I do things. Okay. Pin. There we go. Yeah, almost 600 knots ground speed. That is a ridiculous tailwind. You do not see 150 knots. Again, I would be nervous now of being any faster because I don't want to drop out of this jet stream and reach that overspeed. Keith says, what's the difference between a VOR and an NDA? I'm assuming that's the NDB, non-directional beacon, which we would use ADF for. An NDB, it's just something you can point at, and your airplane can point at it. Whereas a VOR, we can put in a radial, and you can track radials just using the needle anyway, even with an NDB, but there won't be a DME associated. They're not as accurate. VORs are more precise. But they're both non-precision style of approaches if you're going to use them for an approach. So I am planning, now we have the bird available in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'm planning to do some videos using that for our non-precision approaches for VOR and NDB approaches. Lauren V says, hold of the 350 got 800 by the end. Oh, did it really? Yeah, we did actually. I remember it got quite busy, that flight. We had almost 800 people by the end.
Manta 243, contact Athens radar 129.675. Bye bye.
Oh, excellent. We're getting loads of controllers. 129675, Manta 243. Thanks very much for your help. Bye-bye. 675. Excellent. 129675. Now, even though we're in 150 knots of wind, there's no reason it could be really turbulent or it could be really smooth. The thing is, it will be turbulent when we lose that wind. It's the change of wind that's the problem. But you could find, probably at that speed, you're in the core of a jet stream, and the cores tend to be quite smooth. That's why people coming across the Atlantic will try and sit in the center of the core. But if you're a bit too high or a bit too low, you could be in the edge, and then that's going to be really turbulent. So 1,000 feet difference can make a huge difference to turbulence. Athens, good evening. Manta 243, flight level 350 to Salon.
Manta 243, good evening. Radar contact.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Panda says Microsoft Flight Sim or X-Plane. Well, this is X-Plane. In terms of preference, it comes up a lot on the channel. X-Plane has the more mature airliners at the moment. Flight Simulator obviously has the better scenery, but not great sort of mods and add-ons yet. But they'll be coming. They'll be coming. So for airliners, it's still the case that X-Plane has the win at the moment. The fly-by-wire mod, though, is doing a great job of increasing the A320 in Microsoft's.
Yes, Olympic 860, climb flight level 80. Olympic 860, clear flight level 140. 140 Olympic 860, proceed direct to Caristos.
Jaden says, what advice do you give to a 14-year-old to, I assume that's being a pilot? It's a tricky one at the moment. At 14, it was just a case of, when I was 14, it was a case of just doing as much as I could to keep my school grades coming along well. And if you can, finding little things that you can do at local airfields, that sort of stuff. So whether it's sort of, I don't know, it's a difficult one. When you're 14, I was focusing on school. That's what I was doing. You don't need amazing grades to become a pilot. I just wanted to make sure I could do the best I could do with it. But then as I got a bit older, I started to be able to do some work, when you reach a sort of working age. So I do, if you can go to like a local airfield and show some interest by doing something, whether that's part-time work or maybe just chatting to people there, you'll learn a lot and start to make some contacts and figure different things out. And it just shows a bit of enthusiasm. Make sure you do have a few trial lessons as well. So what I mean by that is, if you're going to go for an interview or anything for like a cadet scheme, for an airline pilot cadet scheme, then you want to make sure you have actually done a couple of hours flying at least, even if the scheme you're applying to doesn't need you to have flying hours. It's good to show that you are interested and show that you actually tried it for real. So those are some things you can do. Ethan says, hello, I'm new to the whole aviation thing and I'd like to play Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I have no clue where to start learning how to fly. Any advice? So I have lots of Airbus videos. If you get the A321NEO mod, hopefully my videos could be useful for you. So that is one option for you, Ethan. that would be. Other than that, if you're really starting out completely fresh, then perhaps go to the really basic tutorials that they include in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Maddie says, how did you become a professional pilot and at what age? I won't talk about my age too specifically, but I just kept applying and kept trying to make sure that I did everything I could to make myself look appealing as a sort of a new pilot. And then, yeah, went through the training schools. I mean, quite standard, really. Study trigonometry. Trigonometry and things is stuff that you do obviously study when you're in your when you're in your teenage years, and then you go to your flight school and you'll use it once or twice, and then you'll go flying and you will never use it ever. I suppose some things relate to it, like our 3-degree descent calculations that we use and that sort of stuff, but you just get so used to using them, you don't really think about the trigonometry aspect to it. Joining the Air Cadets, there you go, that's a good idea from Barkster. If you can join some sort of free program like that, like Air Cadets in the UK, and I imagine there's similar things in America, that sort of stuff can show good enthusiasm and teach you a lot. Maybe get you a few flights for free. Mark says, how do you prepare for possible descent shortcuts? Like in the 737, you put the waypoint you expect direct to, and then see what altitude you should be at the waypoint somewhere before that. So what I do as I get closer... Oh yeah, we can get rid of that. I would put in my airport and my... Oh, am I getting confused? Is it 23 left? I would put in the runway I'm landing on like that. And then I would just make sure that from this distance here, which is a straight line to that point, make sure that I have a good idea that I'm going to fit on there. So that's typically how I do it. If you do a direct, you can do direct to with a beam points. And that way it will keep the beam points and you can then see your target altitude as you go past, which is quite useful as well. Yeah, a few people in the chat talking about something very fair, which is be careful. Be careful if you want to become a pilot. Be careful with backup plans. So losing your medical is obviously a horrible thing to happen, and that is just something you may not even get a medical in the first place. So make sure you prepare for that situation and have a backup plan, especially when you're younger. But also, you know, there are risks to training. You may not pass all the training, so hopefully you'll pick a school that can help you out enough in that situation. Some schools will offer sort of an insurance policy where if you pass their selection, then they will give you your money back if you fail, because they're confident that you should be able to pass, that sort of thing. Some schools offer that, or they used to anyway. Something else is, yeah, it's a really volatile industry. It's hopeless. It's okay, no, hopeless is not fair. It's a really volatile industry. It goes up and down. It's affected very quickly by ups in the economy and downs, as we're seeing right now. So there is that side is unstable. You may have to travel to get your job, which means, you know, you'll probably, your first job is very likely you'll have to move away from wherever you live. You'll be doing shift work as well if you're an airline pilot, certainly. So that could mean working late at night, early mornings, things like that. And if you go long haul, of course, you'll be looking at flying through the night and being away for days at a time. So there are lots of instabilities to the job as well. And like I say, that first job, you may have to move a long way from home to be getting your first chance to fly. Mark says, surely FS Labs on P3D is the benchmark? Yes, probably it is. Yeah. Peter's saying, would be highly appreciated if you could do a charts tutorial. Yep, that's another tutorial that's on my list that I've been thinking about. Absolutely. Maybe you could also consider showing Jefferson charts as well as the ones from ChartFox. Can't find DH on them. So I'm using Jefferson charts here, actually. And there it is. DA 431, H 200. So yeah, that's just there. But yeah, I totally get your point. I definitely I've already got it written down on the list, the charts video. Like I say, just been struggling to keep up to date with everything as it goes. Now this is a shame. We're now turning across, so we're losing that tailwind. And what happens is, if you were to fly across the wind like this, it's actually the worst option, because you're going to have a constant sort of headwind component. No, it's not too bad today because it's still a bit of a tail actually. But yeah, a pure crosswind it just slows you down in both directions.
Swiss 259 at Athens.
Joe says, in all fairness, a lot of industries are volatile. Hospitality, for example, takes the battering when there is a downturn. Yeah, no, that's true. No one's completely immune. Richard V says, am I right in thinking that insurance against losing a pilot's medical available? Yes. Once you're qualified and you've got your medical license and so on, it's incredibly vital that you get insurance for losing your medical, because if you do lose your medical and you can't work, obviously that's not great, especially if you've got a mortgage you need to pay for to keep your house and look after your family. So yeah, it's insurance for your medical is definitely something you need to get.
Skyways 539 to descent flight level 70.
Descent flight level 70, Skyways 539.
James says, have you had or seen a water salute yet? Surprised the 747 didn't get one at Heathrow. James, yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen them, and I'm a little surprised 747 didn't get one at Heathrow. But also, you got to remember.
Manda 243 contact Cairo 1277. Have a good day.
1277, Manta 243. Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye bye. Manda 14 Mile Juliet Cairo 1277.
1277. Yeah, in the current times, there may not be all the spare staff required and so on to do that. I don't know what the reason is that there wasn't a water cannon salute, but yeah, it could be that. Cairo, good evening. Manta 243, flight level 350 to Delta Bravo Alpha.
Manta 243, Cairo, good evening, radar contact. Maintain level 350, 2 at mile. Report when ready to descend and information out as well.
Okay, we'll continue at 350 and Wilco Manta 243. Thank you. Oh, that was quite quiet. Quite hard to hear. Hopefully it gets a bit better as we get closer. Walking Dog says, do you know if the 320 has reverser locks? By reverser locks, I'm imagining you mean can they lock them out? And it does, yes. So if there's an issue with the reverse thrust, then engineers can actually make it so they can't activate. That way they're secured in the correct position, the off position. Yeah. I know what that looks like on the older engines. I don't know what it looks like on the NEOs actually. I haven't seen it yet. Dougal McTavish said, I lost my PPL through medical issues and even that really hurt. Oh, I bet it did. Sorry to hear that, Dougal. That is a shame. Yeah, the PPL, well, sorry, the medical is a tough one, and it takes people and friends out of the industry. You know, it's not common, but it does happen. We all know someone who's been affected by it. So, yeah, it's definitely something to have insurance for if it's your profession. Dougal can still fly, but not solo. Yeah, that's something that happens. Sadly, in commercial flying, it often means that there's not so many options because you have to have quite a high level Class 1 medical in the UK. It is to be a pilot, airline pilot.
Flight heading 160, descent 2,500 feet.
Calvin Smith said, hi, I just wanted to say hi and that I'm re-downloading X-Plane 11 because Microsoft Flight Simulator has no 737. There you go. I hope you enjoy X-Plane 11. Air Force is a good way of entry as well. Yeah, if you can join the Air Force, if your medical is good enough to join the Air Force, then that is a really good way to have your flight training paid for. And, you know, obviously the Air Force comes with other aspects of that, whichever Air Force you choose to join. But, you know, in terms of actual flying, that will get you flying and you won't have to pay for your training typically in Air Forces. But you have to have even better medical restrictions than for becoming a commercial pilot, yeah. Mr. EW says, is there anything on this Airbus that's not modelled that you wish was there? I think they've added most of the things. I used to really miss the descent arrow to show you where you're levelling off, but that's now added. It's got the auto brakes. They've added the soft go-arounds. I mean, CPDLC is the next thing where we can talk to air traffic control through this. And I suppose now I'm getting used to it in the fly-by-wire mod. Having a bit of ACARS, which is all missing, that would be here, would be nice. But not 100% critical. But those things would be nice. But no, they've done an amazing job. This is a really, really great add-on.
Cairo Center, Malta 358, flight level 350 inbound, Charlotte.
Mountain 358, Cairo control, good evening, radar contact, maintain...
Richie Ray says, what does it feel like if you're hearing a Mayday or Pan-Pan call while flying a plane? It's... I mean, you do hear them every now and then. They do happen out there. They're not something to be scared of, so it's something that you know, if you hear one, you'll definitely pay attention and you'll be quiet, because you don't want to accidentally just transmit over one or block air traffic control with a silly request whilst there's something serious going on. But aside from that, you might listen to hear what's going on just to give you some awareness. You know, if I was sitting here and there's an airplane above me, 1,000 feet above me, and I hear a Mayday for someone who's deep pressurizing, then I might be thinking, is there someone about to descend on top of me? That sort of thing. So you'll listen for just that sort of awareness, but other than that, they happen occasionally, and they're quite, you know, those calls are used to alert air traffic that there's a problem, but they're not necessarily a sign of absolute danger. They're just a sign that we need extra assistance here because something's not quite right. So they're usually not as exciting as you'd think. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. Good evening, Sky Ranger. Thanks for coming along. Matthias says, are you doing a Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane 11 flight? This is purely X-Plane 11 today. We'll do Microsoft Flight Simulator next. Yeah. Although, of course, once we've reached Cairo, we're going to have to go and explore it. So that's the current plan. No promises yet, but the current plan, if I can get it to work properly, will be the next group flight to be out of Cairo. But that'll be after we've done probably another 320 Microsoft Flight Simulator stream, all subject to change. I change my mind constantly with streams. Planning them a day in advance seems like a challenge for me.
Turkish 33 Tango, descent to flight level 240.
No worries, Richie. No worries. Mr. EW, have you ever flown through severe turbulence? And what does it feel like in the cockpit? Depends on your aeroplane. Severe turbulence is pretty much you've lost you are occasionally losing control, and you're finding it difficult to maintain your altitude. It's incredibly rare. The chances of you having actually flown through severe turbulence are slim, and I'm very pleased to say I haven't. I've flown through heavy. I've definitely come close to what I could call severe turbulence. Maybe once. So I maybe could say I've flown through it once, and it was terrible. You couldn't keep the altitude within a couple of 100 feet. Now, having said that, that's all. That's the effect. So it limits your ability to hold your altitude. It's not very comfortable for the passengers, of course, but it's not the end of the world. And, you know, hopefully it's just caused by, it could be mountain waves, things like that. You don't want to obviously be in that situation if it's caused by turbulence from thunderstorms. That would mean that you've gotten too close to a thunderstorm. That would be really bad. But thankfully I haven't had that, because we all avoid thunderstorms. But yeah, I've felt some rough bumps while flying. But again, it's just a comfort issue, really. It's that's all there is to it. So we'll just try and change our flight level or so on. Hello to Armin. Cam says, have you flown through CAT? CAT is clear air turbulence. Yeah, clear air turbulence exists all over the place. You can be flying along like this. You know, if we come out of this jet stream, that could be into clear air turbulence. Quite likely to be, really, because you're going to come out and the plane will be shaking around all over the place. So yeah, very common to get that sort of thing. It does happen. So when we say that you should have your seatbelts on just in case, it's not predictable turbulence. You know, it just isn't. There's some good ideas, but it's definitely not predictable.
Countdown 779er, wind calm, clear to land, runway 04 left, report vacation.
Turtle Kayak says, how well are the subtle system differences between the NEO and other models implemented in the ToLiss NEO add-on? So it's very good now. Now they've added soft go around. I think it can fly TCAS itself, which is like the NEOs can. So it can fly the TCAS traffic collision avoidance system. It can do that on its own, which is amazing. I don't know how to test that really very easily in this simulator. Something I'd like to see, one minor detail, is in the 321 NEOs, this page, you don't actually have this next phase option. That's gone. And you have a little arrow sign up here to show you to scroll using these. And you'll scroll left and right using those arrows instead of the next and previous phase. I don't know why. I really can't tell you why, but that's just one minor change. But in the 320 NEOs that I've flown anyway, that's still like this. So that's a tiny difference. But they've done a great job. They've got all the correct fuel tanks modelled here. I'd still like to see fuel temperature added because I know other add-ons do have that, actually. That would be nice. But no, otherwise, it's all very nice. Did I just see contrails, says the Elfish Gene? Yeah, you did. X-Plane 11 has absolutely no trouble showing us lovely contrails. There you go. Yeah, sadly the weather radar in ToLiss, it's not particularly great. Yeah. Darian says, I always leave my lap belt on in the cruise, but people look at me and think I am scared. Yeah. No, when I fly as a passenger, I'll leave my lap belt on when I'm sat in my seat. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Skyways 8271.
Lauren V says, probably would take a long while in a light aircraft to follow the river down to Ethiopia. It's a shame as the scenery in the Rift Valley in FS 2020 is stunning. Yeah, no, a light aircraft would struggle. That's why I need to do a bit of investigating around Cairo to see what we could do for a group flight, Lauren. Yeah, absolutely. Jorge says, I have a question about the weather radar, but what does GCS and multiscan do? And if I put them on auto or manual? You want them on auto. GCS is ground clutter suppression. Ground clutter suppression. If I turn off the weather radar, again, as we said, it doesn't really work in this add-on very well. But with ground clutter suppression on, the radar will stop showing you the ground returns. Otherwise, you'll just see lots of ground if you tilt it too low. Multiscan lets it scan up and down. So you'd leave them both in auto if you had a radar suitable for it. But like I say, this one isn't really going to do much. If you put multiscan to manual, then I can just set the tilt myself. It would show you up here as well what you've got set, the weather radar and tilt, usually. The Elfish Gene, this is X-Plane 11, which is why we have contrails. Yeah. So they're here, included. Yeah, we are getting there, aren't we? We are well underway. How much longer? About half an hour. Yeah, so probably time to start thinking about our brief. Let's bring up some charts. Oh, I keep going for that one. I don't know why I'm doing that. So here we go. Cairo International. A few facts about Cairo. Corrosive Moon, if he's still there. Yeah, Cairo. Corrosive Moon's still here. So you can correct me on my facts and figures. And I'm not going to use them all up because they're going to be used for the group flight. But Cairo, where we're flying, has... obviously, it's the Egyptian capital. But the metropolitan area has 20 million residents. 20 million. This makes it the largest in Africa. 6th largest in the world. Amazing. Massive, massive city. 20 million. As I said, average temperature in January, 19 degrees. So pretty nice. Pretty good. But 35 degrees in August, which is, yeah, as an average temperature in the shade, that is quite something. Okay, so let's bring up the airport chart, start to get an idea of where we are, what we're looking at. So we're landing on 2-3. And James Cooper, £5 donation. Very kind of you, James. Again, thank you for continuing to support the channel. I really appreciate it. James says, last question, I promise. No problem at all. Can reverse thrust be used on the A320 to back out of gates, etc.? I've seen that on other aircraft, but it's rare. No, you're not allowed to do that on the 320. At least nowhere I've seen it or nowhere I've worked. And I highly doubt it. reverse thrust is not really supposed to be used at, you'd have to rev the engines to do that. So what they'll do is they'll blast air onto the ground, which will pick up all the dirt and stones. They'll go forwards towards the intake of the engine, then the engine will be working hard, sucking in all that air again. So you'll get huge amounts of debris and damage in the engine very quickly. And plus, the zone where the engine could suck in air would be really big. The jet blast out the back would be bad. Because of course the core of the engine doesn't reverse, so it's, yeah, no, you don't want to do that. But yeah, thank you very much for your contribution again. Cam A321 says, can you explain when and how one would determine transition speed from IS to Mach and vice versa? No, sadly. The transition to IS and Mach is done sort of automatically. It depends on the temperature and the day and so on. So, for example, if I want to descend at 270 knots, from here, it's going to almost immediately transition, because that Mach number will have to increase as we descend to maintain... we're going to descend in a Mach number. So the airspeed will increase to maintain the Mach number as we descend. As it does that, it's going to reach 270. As soon as it reaches 270, it will stop and it will say, okay, I'm there, and then it will convert automatically to an IAS. So that's basically it. It's, you know, if I wanted to descend at 300 knots, well, in fact, let's see, what is the airplane planning to descend at? If I go next phase, oh, well, yeah, so our descent speed is actually, it's too high. Let's put in 7.4. Even 7.4 is too slow. 319 is too high. So let's put 7.8, which is what we're cruising at. So we're going to start our descent at decimal 7.8, and then I want to descend at 300 knots. So we'll start our descent. It will maintain decimal 7.8, and it will keep accelerating to maintain Mach decimal 7.8 as we descend, because as we descend, it will need to increase the indicated airspeed to keep Mach decimal 7.8. Then it will reach 300 knots, and it will convert automatically to 300 knots. And that's all that we're telling it here in that managed speed box. Yeah. But actual calculating it, no, I don't have a method for that. It just happens roughly, you know, somewhere in the higher flight levels. But yeah, good question. Something I was wondering before I flew jets as well, actually. Robin Hood Aviation. I up me duck. Just got in from work, so missed start of the stream. No problem. We are getting ready for our descent, surely, if I stop reading the chat and actually start doing what I should be doing. Do you stream on Twitch or only on YouTube? Only on YouTube, Visa. But yeah, thanks very much. I'm glad you enjoy the videos.
I do not have deep or detailed information about...
Do you always get more than 60 FPS? Just like now, 90. Yeah. My computer's set up for Microsoft Flight Simulator, so I've been very lucky to be able to get some quite good computer parts. I use the same computer to stream and run the simulators, so it does well in X-Plane, especially in the ToLiss with no clouds around, no scenery to load. You can see why it's running so well. 127, yeah, that's pretty good. I did recently do a stream to Geneva, and I got that frame rate down into the 20s using the same settings, so it does happen the wrong way as well. Pavel, good to see you. Hope you're doing well, Pavel. Long-time viewer. Late again, no problem at all. Right, okay, enough. I must prepare. So, Gross Moon said expect 2-3 centre or 2-3 right, because 2-3 left has a long taxi, which I can definitely see. So, the question is, which one are they going to be using? Do they have a controller there? They do indeed. Excellent. We're going to have... Oh, obviously, we're talking to centre, aren't we? We are on 1277. And there is an 8. It's 1226. Here we go, then. Let's hope we can get it this far out. We're a bit far out, I think, still, but we'll see. Keep your fingers crossed. 240 miles is probably a bit far. If you're really unsure, you could ask air traffic control, especially if you're talking to the right centre. So we are talking to Cairo centre, so they might be able to help. So let's try that. And Cairo Center for Manta 243. Which runway can we expect in Cairo, please? Now, they may not be able to help. It depends if...
Manta 243, stand by. I will talk to Cairo direct.
Thank you very much. Oh, no, I've got to transmit that. Thank you very much, Manta 243. Yeah, so that's great. And that's what the real controllers will say. It's exactly like that. They'll have to go and phone. And they have a phone that they can use. Or they've got two controllers and one of them will go off and chat to the tower there. Some places will have it set up so that the area controllers can just see the runways in use. But that's quite rare. Oh, maybe 05. Let's go. Oh, let's go and refresh that. What's the weather looking like? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is easterly. Oh, that could be good. We might get to see the... Well, I don't have the scenery, but that would be an approach near the pyramids, I believe. But the reason I want to get that ATIS.
Manta 243, you can expect arrival ILS approach 05 center, and it will be radar vectors.
Thank you. Expect radar vectors to the ILS 05 center, Manta 243. And now, that's brilliant. That's really kind of him. And that makes our life much easier because I can load all of this. ILS 05 center. I can get all the charts ready. So 05 center, no problem there. There's no stars, as corrosive moon pointed out. So there's no arrival charts, but there are approach charts. How to fix his holding procedures. What's this chart? Oh, there you go. That could be where they might send you, because there's no star chart. I suppose this is in case you're on arrival and you get told to hold there. So we'll have that one ready just in case we need it. And then we've got the ILS 05 center. We're not doing a Cat 2 ILS. Ah, so there's a Cat 2 for 05 center. So we were talking about this earlier. If we go to the chart, you'll see... Oh, not that one. Ah, well, if we find a ground chart that shows the holding points, it will reveal that there are low-vis ones as well. Maybe parking stands will help us. Oh, no, they're not shown. Anyway, there would be, I can assure you. Unless the normal holding points are far enough away from the runway. So 05 center, and then that is a nice long runway. If I can bring up the right one. 4,000 meter runway. Huge, huge. So that is a low auto brake sort of day. Right, approach via. Ooh, do we need an approach via? That is the question. So they said radar vectors. What happens if I do CVO1? Oh, no, 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 no. Don't want to do that. That's a procedure. That's the full procedure. No, no, no. We're going to get radar vectors. So if we put in the full procedure like that, i.e. one of these vias, and that's what you use it for. In real life, you typically only need to put in the via when you're doing a procedure, but I know that ToLiss often prefers you to have it earlier or on more arrivals. So I'm just going to connect the line there from Alpids. And now we have a straight line in, and we're probably not going to fly south and back up and in. We'll probably cut that corner. So let's set up. So we've done our flight plan page now, all the way through to our ILS. The ILS is from 2,500 feet down to the airport, which is a bit of elevation on the airport, 400 foot elevation, so you've got to be aware of that. So that's quite a low platform altitude. We're only going to descend from about 6.7 miles, yeah, quite late. So I want to be flap 2, 160 knots as a maximum as I pass through that 6.7 point, and then configure shortly after with the gear and the rest of the flap. And down we come the approach. If we need to go around, let's check that's all loaded in. We're going to go straight ahead, 2,000 feet. Yep, 2,000 feet. Then a right turn, climbing to reach the VOR at 4,500 and hold or as directed. So there we go. All the way back round to the CVO hold. So there's the flight plan page. It all agrees. RadNav is going to tune the ILS later. In here then, as I said, I'm worried that we're not going to fly our entire route, so I need to be ready to descend whenever I think it's going to happen. So I'm going to put 05 center 200 miles away. Let's work it out. We are at 35,000 feet. So that's 90. That's 105 miles because I've times it by 3. 35 times 3, 105. So we need 105 miles plus 10. so 115, and then we've got a really strong tailwind. That's a really strong tailwind.
8271 Cairo.
So I'm going to say,
Skyways 8271, go ahead.
we said 105, 115.
Skyways 8271, can you please confirm your next
I'm going to do
waypoint?
130. I think about 130 miles at the latest we need to start our descent. I'm going to add, actually 135, yeah. Yeah, let's give ourselves 20 miles to slow down. And the reason I'm adding so much is just that it's a really strong tailwind. It will get better as we get lower, of course. Victor Tango's got to go. Enjoy your dinner. You're very welcome for the stream. Hopefully see you in another one soon. Everyone starts talking about dinner. Get the cat to say hello, says Jonathan. The cat's not here, I'm afraid, today. She is around, but she's not joined us today.
Next waypoint is Cairo, VOR, Skyways 8271.
Okay, right. That's the progress page. Perf. Now we haven't got the ATIS, but what we can do is just load in the weather.
Italia to Takeoff, request is sent.
And that way we have a better idea. Oh yeah, when we transferred controller, I should have told the new controller that we were given a speed restriction, because they may not have been told that by the previous controller. There we go, 1017. That's all in.
Descent level 250 and expect rudder vectors for runway 05 center.
They're landing 05 center. We're a Cat C airplane, so 631. In the barrow. Config. Full for landing. I think that'll work nicely at this weight. And if we go around, our stop altitude is 4,500. Quite nice and high. Oh. There we go. So we're doing our little hat. This is a top hat that you use to set the FMGC for approach. So you do your flight plan, we've checked through, then your radnav. It should tune there already. Progress page, put in your destination runway threshold. Performance page. Check through all of these, which we've now done. Fuel prediction, plenty of extra fuel. We've made up loads of fuel. Secondary, let's do another copy. So, you know, if they're using 05 center, if the ATIS was saying they're using 05 center or 05 left, I know, unlikely, but maybe in the secondary flight plan you could have the other approach ready. The magic is, because I copied the active before I did that, the secondary flight plan performance page would already have all the information. There it is, it's already copied across, but you'd need to change the minima because it's a different approach type. So that's an example of what you might do in the secondary to have a different runway ready. That way, if you're on approach and they tell you they're changing it, one of you will obviously fly the airplane very carefully. The other pilot would have the option to then activate the secondary and make sure it's sequenced to the correct waypoints. Okay, apologies to those of you who have missed in chat, as ever. Old Mark says, how do you get the weather on Avitab? For me, it used to work, but now it says no weather available. I'm using standard explain real world weather. I don't know. That is a great question. I'm using exactly the same, and I've never had to change anything. So I don't know if someone else can help you with that. I hope they can. Right, so... Oh, no, not that one. There we go. We've got a plan for the arrival. Finally, then, let's not forget, after landing. So we're going flat, full, and low. So probably 2,000 meters to come off at Tango 4 will be easily achievable, if not Tango 5. Then we're expecting to come back on Tango, and I assume park on this terminal here. Military over there, yeah. Okay, seems pretty reasonable. Pretty reasonable indeed. Any other things to be concerned about? So the big thing here is, got to watch out. The terrain is pretty low down, 2,500, 3,500 feet. But we just need to watch out for that shortcut where they might cut us straight in. That's the big thing here. Good stuff. Do another systems check, make sure nothing's changed. All looking great. Great. Okay. How close are we getting? 160, so about 30 miles we need to descend. Now I'm going to check. Does the Airbus think the same thing? No. No, it's descending way too late. It wants us to descend in 80 miles, which, you know, that's too late. Yeah, that won't work. Grocer Moon says, Let's say there's no ATC. How do you set up for the 05 center approach? You'd overfly the CVO VOR and do a course reversal and intercept the ILS? Yeah. So what you'll see here is the actual procedure if we were doing this without radar control. So air traffic control have told us they're going to radar vector us for this approach. But what could happen here is if there was no radar control, which does happen, or radar was turned off for the day, they can only clear you via the whole procedure. In which case, you'd fly to the Cairo VOR. You'd have to potentially enter the hold, because what you can't do, you couldn't come in from, let's say, here, like us, from the northwest, then turn outbound, because you'd go through here, it'd be a mess. So you need to come in, enter the hold, and then from the hold, you can start the procedure when you're ready. We're a Cat C airplane, so we'd follow this line, track 198, out to 10 miles, background, and in. That's when you'd use that procedure and that hold. If you came in from this angle straight in, you could go straight outbound. There is a limit to what angle you can do that from. So air traffic control will use that system if they don't have a working radar where they can see where you are. Alex UK, £10 donation. Thank you very much, Alex. Very kind of you. Says at 320 Sim Pilot, gutted I missed the start due to work, but just to let you all know, I passed my train driver assessment. Brilliant news, Alex UK. So Alex UK has been incredibly generous to the channel. And thank you very much for your £10 donation. I really appreciate it, Alex. That's very kind of you, and congratulations so much on becoming a train driver. That is absolutely brilliant. So you'll have to come and share your wisdom with us many times now. So Alex has swapped careers recently and is now going to be a train driver. I mean, brilliant. It just sounds like such a great job, and I know so many people who've swapped to it from aviation and absolutely love it. So yeah, fantastic. Well done. Brilliant. I hope you have a good. Well, I hope you had a good celebration, because that was about a week ago, wasn't it? So yeah, well done, Alex. Thank you very much as well for your donation. And no worries for missing the starts. It's all watchable, but there'll be more streams soon. Hoping to do quite a few streams in January. Jono says, what are the track miles to run? It's a bit hard to tell. Purely on the flight plan, it reckons 205. But I reckon it could be less, because we're going to come effectively into the FYM, and then I think FYM straight in. That would be the worst case, the shortest route. Or even from here, you could get a direct, let's face it. If I put airports, that can give you an idea. You know, maybe there's airports in the way that will stop you doing that. But yeah, no, it could be almost as low as 140 miles from here, straight to the runway, really. So we've got to be ready for that. Because I have no idea how they radar vector us here. But it seems silly to go south and then back up, so I doubt we would do that. Unless, with lots of traffic around, they may choose to do that. But air traffic control gave us another clue. They said, tell us when you want to descend, which means they're not monitoring it for us. A lot of controllers will give you a clue first. There we go. As we saw, you know, we came a similar way actually when we went on our long haul. It's quite fun to fly to different parts of X-Plane world, and it does look different, which is great. But yeah, time to descend. Manta 243, request descent.
Manta 243, descend initially flight level 240.
Descend flight level 240, Manta 243. 240, and down we go.
And just to confirm, expect radar vectors ILS 05.
Expecting radar vectors ILS 05 left, Manta 243. So thrust idle open descent is in. Okay,
05 center confirm.
05 center, thank you, Manta 243.
Thanks.
Down we go. Now we'll see that speed convert, and I will try and get the ATIS.
Wind 130 degrees 8 knots. Cab okay. Temperature 2.6. Transition level 060 QNH 1017. No significant change advice ADC. That you copied information Oscar. This is Cairo International Airport information Oscar. At time 1900, expect ILS approach arrival runway 05 center and 05 right. Departure runway 05 center and 05 left. Wind 130 degrees 8 knots. Cab okay. Temperature.
Right, there we go. So that matches what we expected. The only thing we can do now is I'm going to actually copy the active into the secondary and have the ILS 05 right in there, because they're using both for arrival, just as a backup. There we go. Transition level 60 as well, so let's put that in. If it is,
Delta 14 Mike Juliet, initially descend to level 240.
still got a strong
Expect
tailwind, so yeah,
direct
definitely worth descending now. Yeah, Airbus is thinking of something totally different. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, so now you'll see that today with this temperature,
Manta 243, descend to level 200.
send flight level 200, Manta 243. Today with this temperature and setup, we're going to transition about flight level 300s, maybe a bit lower. But Mach number depends on temperature and all sorts, so yeah, it could vary. It could vary. Hello to Tort. Hope you're doing well. The Morgan Thomas show. Can't wait to watch the replay. Had to go back to work for a bit. Well, no worries. There'll be more streams, and yeah, this will all be on YouTube as soon as we're finished anyway. Cam 321 says the worst was to have to vector yourself for the circle to land approach at Samos in the 350. It just felt wrong to fly that big of an airplane like a Cessna 172. You know, it's funny that the big airplanes like the A350, they often fly to, all these long-haul exotic destinations around the world, and they do end up getting to do visual approaches and so on. So they are exactly the same, because although they're big when you're sat in them, or when they're mainly on the grounds, when you see them in the flight in aeroplane, that doesn't make any sense, right? Although they're big, when you see them in flight, the difference between a 350 and a 321 is just nothing, because after all, we're here, we're a tiny speck in the sky, and a 350 over there is a tiny speck over there. So funnily enough, they often get to do some of those really nice approaches anyway. Here's the scenery loading in. So yeah, so it does happen. I imagine though, often, especially like a 380 or something like that, they won't be going to, I don't know, small tropical islands and things like that. They'll be typically flying to bigger airports with big numbers of passengers to fly between them, so they'll mostly be on the ILS. The Greek says, are you using the bird on the PFD? If not, what is that green thing under the -10 line? That green thing under the -10 line is the normal law pitch limit. So that's showing me that, oh, here you go. You might get the cat now complaining. She has arrived. Hello. Hello. So that means if I was to take out the autopilot and push the nose down, it will not go below 15 degrees below the horizon. That's the limit. That would go to an amber cross if we were in alternate law, i.e. the aeroplane was slightly confused about something. So that's what those are. Yeah, I could just press this after my bird video and show you the bird, which is there, and the flight directors are around it. You're right. Lots of complaining from the cat. But this is not a normal way to fly. It's available to us. For example, now I could select a flight path angle, so I could pull that and select 2.5 degrees. It still shows me my level off and so on here, but yeah, very rare. Let's get back to our thrust side open descent. Hello. What's the problem? There we go. We are getting joined by the cat has deemed it worthy. There we go. Not sure if she'll say hello specifically. You alright? Just say hello. Definitely not. Definitely not. The thing is, once she realises she's got your attention, she stops talking. So that's why the hello goes missing. Oh, there you go. You might have heard that one. Oh dear. Right, well that was distracting. Where are we? Hope our traffic didn't need us. Darian says, when they say descend to 24,000 feet, do they have a specific FPM in mind, or can you Top Gun it to 24,000 as you desire? I believe in America there's some other rules, but in Europe, no. You can't. You have to keep a decent rate of descent, so they won't expect you to just sort of come down at 200 feet per minute. You'll have to do sort of at least 500, maybe more, maybe 1,000 is quite common as the minimum. So if you don't want to descend yet, I would typically do 1,000 feet per minute and then go a bit faster. And then if they're not happy with that, they'll ask you to descend quicker. They'll say expedite, or they'll give you a descent rate they want you to follow. So sometimes they'll say descend flight level 200 at 2,000 feet per minute or greater, something like that. Now, be careful with those. If you're up at cruise, say flight level 390, and they say descend to flight level 200 at 2,500 feet per minute or greater, anything like that, you could say initially unable. You can't do it because you don't want to set a high vertical speed from the cruise level, because the airplane may increase the speed too much to do that. It can't be a true Cat 2 approach without your cat. Exactly. Oh yeah, the cat meow frequency is directly proportional to stream crash probability. But I do feel like as long as she arrives for the stream, that's what the computer needs for the stream reliability. Can pilots have support animals? No, sadly not. No, no animals on the flight deck, except in this airline, obviously. Can we see the traffic behind us? No, a bit too far away today. So here you go. So this isn't an ideal situation. We're now level at flight level 200, entirely by my design. Because if we go straight in from here, we need 20 times 3, 60, plus 10, 70. We need at least 70 miles if we got straight in. Now, the reality is, it looks like we're not going to get a straight in from here. So, you know, you can only do so much. You do try. And
Malta 243, contact Cairo director, frequency 119.05, have a safe landing, goodbye.
119.05. Thank you very much, Manta 243. That's great that we've had the controllers. Really nice of them. 119.05. Oh, no. There we go. Cairo Manta 243, flight level 200 to Foxtrot Yankee Mike 321 NEO with information Oscar. Descend flight level 160, expect ILS 05 center, Manta 243. Okay, so there we go. So now I'm going to do 500 feet per minute, vertical speed. And we have our altitude under control. So as I was saying, yeah, if you know the airport, you'll have a much better idea. But for all I knew, they were going to send us straight in from any moment, so we had to be ready for it. You can ask as well. Maybe you could ask a traffic control, oh, how far do we expect to go? But, you know, if everybody asked that, it would be quite consuming for them. James says, is the NEO upgrade worth it on the 321? That's entirely going to be, afraid, a personal opinion, really. I would say yes, but I really like it. I like the NEO a lot. It's a really nice machine. It's quieter, and they provided really nice modelled engines, although we already had those. So if you want just the visual model, Carter Joel has done an amazing job at providing some modded engines. They are available as well, and I've still got my old original livery, which works on the mod by Carter. That is also available on the forum if you go to those other files that I've uploaded in that link in the pinned message. But yeah, the extra things you get here, like the fuel burn and these extra FMAs and so on, I really like it. Another example, for example, is this 8.1, you know, drawn like this, all makes life very easy. Yeah, really nice. Saul says, is Manta low cost or premium carrier? Let's go and have a look. Oh, I don't know. That doesn't look particularly premium to me. Not even got projectors. No business class. No first class. So sadly, I would imagine this is... this does look a bit normal. Low cost, I should say. Not normal. Bit too far there. So yeah, so now I'm confident we're not going straight in. I'm just going to do a bit of a more gentle rate of descent. Also, now we've lost that tailwind, it's down to 50 knots. It's a bit more manageable, but still noticeably strong. Because once we turn, we're going to be pointing towards the runway So when we turn, that will go from a crosswind to a strong tailwind. Nick T says, if you're not busy, could you explain the information that is referred on ATIS, for example, information echo? So echo just means information E, echo. So it's just the phonetic alphabet. So when we're talking to air traffic control, if I was saying I want to go to this waypoint, I might say direct to Foxtrot Yankee Mike. And that's what I say to them. We'd never say FYM because on the radio it's too hard to hear. We use phonetics, so we spell it out saying the word Foxtrot Yankee Mike. So information echo is information E, effectively. It's just E for echo. But we just say echo. We say that because that weather information changes every 30 minutes. So we tell air traffic control that we took information echo, and that way they know that we have the latest weather information, and therefore we'll probably have the correct QNH and so on. Now they'll still tell us the QNH later, but yeah. So we're just telling them what weather information we have. If the weather recently changed, so we said Oscar this time, we had information Oscar. Now it may have changed to the next one. Speed 300 knots, Manta 243. The other reason our descent went a bit better than I expected is because we descended quite fast. 300 knots is quite a fast speed for a managed descent, but that's probably helping the people behind us all squeeze in at once. So yeah, so that's what that information is saying. Juno said, what is the brake low indication in blue underspeed FMA? This is our brake low armed. This is new to the 321 NEO, and this has been added by ToLiss. And if I put medium, it will say brake medium, and then it should engage and go green when we land. Geordie says, I got to go. Family calls. The rest tomorrow. Thank you very much, Geordie. All the best. We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming along. Anton was modelled after Le Compagnie. Yeah, if only, eh? Yes, thanks, Richard V. Thank you. If anyone watching is enjoying, do please press the like button. It really makes a difference to the channel and YouTube's recommendations, as you know. So very kind of you who have. Thank you. The fuel burn on the Neos is really amazing. It is indeed, yeah. You can get 2 tons in the cruise in a 321 NEO, which is 2 tons an hour, I mean, so 1,000 each side. So that's yeah, amazing. Right, how are we doing from straight in here? Could we do it? 62 miles, 17. Yeah, it's getting a bit tighter though. Left heading 040 degrees, descend to flight level 90, Manta 243. Right, that's a good sign we need to descend. So thrust idle open descent heading, and look, we're pointing right at the airport now. Yeah, the seat layout is for the original 4 doors. I can see that. Well spotted. Okay, right, approach checklist then. Briefing, we've already confirmed. Ecom status is checked, which just means there's nothing here, no status message, STS. Seatbelts are on. So we're a bit high, but is it 10 minutes to landing? Well, depends, I suppose, what procedure you use. But let's get those seatbelts on, get the cabin securing. Barra ref to come. So I'll just wait there before I can finish that checklist. Yeah, that's it. Absolutely, Richard V. We're hoping to get to enjoy a bit of Cairo, because I don't know what's going to be modelled here in X-Plane. I did look around to see if there was any scenery set up for it, but sadly not. I know there is some freeware scenery, but I have only struggled to install any freeware scenery. I'm really bad at it. I've tried so many times and I can't make it work, and I'm so scared of damaging my X-Plane file, so I can't stream, so I've avoided it. Fit is ahead, turning on final, scenery is awful, oh dear. Dougal says, I have to bail, have a great landing, and as always, thank you for never ending detailed information. You're welcome, Dougal, thank you for coming and moderating. You enjoy your evening, and thank you very much for coming along and taking the time. James Cooper, at what point will we switch from standard to QNH? We will do that as soon as we pass through flight, or we reach flight level 60. So we can level off at flight level 60. To go below that, we have to convert to an altitude. So that's when we'll have to set QNH. If air traffic control clears us to anything lower than flight level 60, we'll set QNH straight away. So if they cleared us to 5,000 feet now, we'd have to set QNH. By the way, guys, when I tell air traffic control, you tell them which aeroplane you're in. They'd expect you to confirm it with them. And I told them we're in a 321 NEO, and you are supposed to do that. The NEO has different approach speeds to the normal 321. So that's why it is useful to tell them at busy airports, certainly, that you're in a 321 NEO. Because they'll have their own planning for how they separate aircraft, especially, like I say, really busy airports where you have planes in front of you. Right, well, we're not going to go to this Alpid point, so I'm going to do a center line. So I'm going to choose the center fix. There we go. I'm going to do a radial in. Now to do that, inbound course 045. So all we'll have to do is reverse that by adding 180 to it. So if I put in a radial in of 225 from that point, we should get a rough straight line to the runway. Insert. Free speed, Manta 243. Adjust desired heading track. Well, we're in heading anyway. I'm a little bit surprised. Oh, no, of course, right. So now it's armed nav mode because I've done that radial in. So it's trying to fly us towards that line, but it knows we're not going to intercept it in time. So I have to remember to pull that again to go back into heading. Clear out that message, no longer relevant to us. And now we'll get an accurate height prediction. So now you can see we're actually a little bit high. Now, air traffic just told us free speed. So I'm going to take advantage of that. And I'm going to carry on at 300 knots. And that's the simplest way for me now to get the height off early. Let's turn on the LS. Because if we go faster, we're using more drag as long as I'm in open descent. Okay, down we go. This is all happening now. So yeah, in theory, I think the pyramids would be just on our right on approach or just underneath us. I think it would be amazing. But sadly, I suspect they're not there. Now, we've got a slight problem is that we're going to need further descent to be able to do this. So I would definitely be asking at this point. Manta 243, request further descent.
Manta 243, descent 4,500 feet, QNH 1017.
Descend 4,500 feet, QNH 1017. Manta 243, 1017 QNH, 4,500 feet, there we go.
Manta 243, actually you can continue descent 2,500.
Descend 2,500 feet, Manta 243, thank you. There we go. So we've got out blues armed, 2,500 feet is there. So we're 1,600 feet high, not that high. We're coming in quite fast. Let's activate the approach phase, which is what would normally make the speed slow down, but we're in selector speed, so that's fine. And now, because the ToLiss only tunes it at this point, I'm going to just check that it has tuned the correct one. IZFC 1099, there it is. Good news. So we're 30 miles out, 8,000 feet. So we're totally fine for height, really. I think the... there you go. I think we're actually a bit low, but we need to get that speed off. So if I come storming in with this tailwind and 300 knots, we're going to run into problems as we try and slow down to intercept the RLS. Oh dear, it's all going on now. So approach checklist, we can now do Barra Ref, QNH 1017, MDADH is set 631, and engine mode select is going to be at normal. Right, here we go. Now this is still a bit sporty. 24 miles, 7,000, so we need 21. I'm going to use the speed brakes. Because I'm concerned because of that speed. We're still going to lose the speed as well as the altitude.
Continue left on heading 80 and climb. Continue left on heading 280.
Sorry guys if I miss any messages now. Obviously. Oh, the wrong button. There we go. Yeah, just while we fly the approach. The triple click Darren now, that is the aeroplane telling us that something's reverted. So it's when it changes mode up here without us telling it to. It's changed because of some other reason. Lights on, says Lauren V. Yeah, so when we're doing 300 knots, if we put the landing lights on, they would make a big rumble in the cabin. So you normally do it at 10,000 feet, but yeah, if you're too fast, sometimes you can leave them retracted because it would just stop them rumbling for too long. There we go. We're reaching our altitude here, so let's go to manage speed. We need to slow down now. 18 miles out, 4,000 feet, loads of room. So now I'm going to go to vertical speed, wind that right back up to there.
ILS approach 05 center, report localizer established.
Cleared ILS 05 center, Wilco Manta 243. And now, no problem. 4,000 feet out at 16 miles, that's good. We only need to be about 12 miles out, so it's just a case of getting the speed back. We're clear for the approach, so I'm going to arm that. There we go, lock star. The glide slope will come down from above. Cat 3 single, so let's put the second autopilot in. QNH has changed to 1016, so we can do that now. Set QNH to 1016 is set. Okay, so next step then is going to be the glide slope. Looks like it's working out. Speed's coming back nicely. There's the runway. I mean, I don't think the scenery's disastrous, but yeah, it's not got them. Well, I'll be really interested to see how it compares to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay, here we go. Now we are fast. Yeah, we're going to need those speed brakes again. Below the first speed, so flaps can go to 1. Flaps are at 1. We're about to inset the glide slope at 11 miles out, 3,600 feet. There's the glide slope star, so we're going to set our 4,500 feet. Now this is now simulated, which is great news. It's now white. It shows up as white on here because it is not armed. It is just in the background if we have to fly a go-around, which if I'm not careful could happen. So we got the speed brakes. Let's use all of the speed brakes. 9 miles out. This is very fast. Gear down. And then we get below our flap 2 speed limit. The amber lines. Flaps to 2. Now I'm going to manage the speed because it will keep reducing. Passing 8 miles, I want to be about 180 knots. Localizer established. Manta 243.
243, contact tower 118.1, master.
118.1, Manta 243. Thank you, goodbye. 1181. So when the gear's out, that makes the biggest difference to your speed. It's even better than the speed brakes. It's huge amounts of drag and noise, so it really helps slow you down. So 180 knots. So now the speed's under control. I can get rid of those speed brakes and arm them. We're below the speed limit for flap 3, so flaps 3 can come out. Tower Manta 243, ILS 05 center, 6 miles.
Manta 243 to traction Cairo Tower, winds 1308 knots, runway 05 center, clear land.
Good land, 05 center, Manta 243. 2,000. Right, so now those are armed. Speed's below the next marker, but we don't need flat full just yet. Let's ding dong the cabin crew. Let's put those nose wheel lights on. There we go. Matteo saying, apparently he vectored only you and nobody else. There you go. Excellent. Why not, eh? Right, let's get that flat full out. Landing checklist then. Cabin is secured. Auto thrust is in speed mode, which we can see up there. Going altitude, 4,500 feet is set in white, as it would be on these ones. Blue in the older airplanes. Eco memo. Landing there blue. There it is. Great stuff. So now we're all set. Slightly lower speeds. I'll have to compare it actually to the... I don't know if ToLiss have simulated the lower approach speeds, but the Neos do have slightly lowered approach speeds for all sorts of reasons to do with better low speed characteristics, I think is what Airbus said, something like that. Right, there we go, stable through 1,000 feet. We are visual, we are clear to land, we've done our checklist. Let's have a go, and let's see if I can remember which button does reverse, because I've totally forgotten again. I'm using the Thrustmaster HOTAS 4. It has a share and options thing from PlayStation, and one of those does reverses, and I always forget. Nice long runway, so we got the whole touchdown zone available to us. Not that we necessarily need to do that. Is there anyone on the approach behind us? Sounds like unlikely if, from what Matteo was saying. Okay, autopilot off then. There's Cat 1, which is what it would say, because we're not able to go lower now. 500. Darian, soft go around video coming tomorrow. It'll be on the channel where I show using the ToLiss, but it will work in Flight Simulator as well. There's our down arrow showing us not to go above 10 degrees pitch, even though the actual limit is 7.5 degrees in the 321. Okay, now it gets overly sensitive, so try not to overreact. A little bit high.
100,
Keep that rate of descent.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10,
Hold it there.
5,
Hold it there. There we go. Yeah, got the reverse button, so there we go. We got brake low on the PFD. We got reverse green, we got the spoilers, and we got decel. So that's all worked. Excellent news. Bit of a float again. But as I said, we had the full runway. We can cheat. I didn't get any excuses in today. Ah, dear. Right, well, we've missed that exit because we're still doing 65 knots, so there's no way I'm going to stand on the brakes. That would just be hideously uncomfortable for everyone involved. So I'm going to take out the auto brakes and we'll roll along to the next one. What do we end up with? Gross Moon says 130. There we go. Oh, looking at the chat instead of steering. Right. There we go. It all worked out. Get rid of those. Bring up the ground charts. And I'm expecting to turn left on Tango. Yeah, Tango 5. Well, welcome to Cairo, everyone. And I'm looking forward to taking ourselves on a group tour flight around here soon. I'll make sure I've got all the Wikipedia facts, Gross Moon, don't you worry. Let's bring ourselves round off the runway then and go and find our parking stand. Thank you all for coming along. It's been a... How long has this flight been going for? This has been a long old flight, really, hasn't it? Yeah, we started at 5. It's going to be an almost 3-hour stream. Not bad, not bad. Oh, get those reverses in now. Taxi speed, vacating the runway. You don't want the reverses out as you cross over to the taxiways, really, because, again, there could be plenty of dirt around there. Mud thrown up by other aeroplanes, that sort of thing. Oh, Corrosive said you ended up with 88. My guess was 130. There we go. Yeah, normal 30-minute taxiing, says Richie Rees. Right. Let's get ourselves over here. James, that's very kind of you. James back in with another donation. Very kind, James. You're supporting this channel far too much, but thank you. £5 donation. Really appreciate it. James says, put this towards the Thrustmaster TCA officer pack. It's fantastic. Thanks for a great flight and the wealth of info. You're very welcome, James. Thank you for coming along. Thanks for asking questions and being so kind to contribute to the channel. That's really appreciated. And yeah, okay. A few people have said about the first officer's pack. When it becomes available, I'll definitely be looking at getting that for the channel to give you guys my opinion on it. It sounds like it's very good, but I've never seen one in the flesh. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Manta 243 vacated. Maybe they'll give us a stand.
Manta 243, welcome to Cairo. Taxi by Tango, right, Sierra 2, Sierra Delta, stand Golf 2.
Okay, Tango, right on Sierra 2, Sierra Delta, stand Golf 2, Manta 243. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Right.
Bye.
Okay, well, I've not done anything I should have done. That stays on. Let's get those landing lights off, those strobe lights off. Let's get the APU up and running. So wait 3 seconds after pressing master switch on and then start. ToLiss demands 5 seconds for some reason. We can disarm those ground spoilers, get those flaps in, and now... Nice big empty taxiways here. Now I'm looking for Sierra 2. I can see Golf. Sierra 2 looks like an entry into that apron. Where's my parking stands page? Here we go. Sierra 2. There we go. I can see that. So we're going to pass Golf. Yeah, so straight. Sierra 2. Then Delta. Oh, we'll see our colleagues land, which is great. Where's Delta? Oh, there it is. Sierra 2. Oh, and then Sierra. So we're going to go in via Sierra 2. Then we're going to take Sierra all the way down here. Then we're going to take Delta in. And then we're going to go to Golf 2. Oh, that should be pretty straightforward, he says. Hopefully we don't mess it up having said that. Great. So APU's on the way. So we could do a single engine taxi in this case. I don't know the airport very well. I'm hoping there's not too many ridges in it. But if it's not too many hills, then no reason you can't. Well, assuming there's not slippery taxiways, things like that. Lauren says, TCA is so hard to get a hold of. I've been trying to get one since August. Yeah, I know. They are hard. Hopefully one day. Bacon Warrior, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming along. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. So let's do a single engine taxi. And I never do that on this channel, really. But this is a nice long taxi. So we're going to turn off, obviously, engine 2. The hydraulics are coordinated as such that we can turn off engine 2. and then power its hydraulics using the yellow electric pump. In NEO aircraft, you don't actually need the APU running to do this. So we could have left that off really. But there we go. Engine 2, and then yellow electric pump on. And now on the hydraulics page, you will see that without the PTU having to run, which is what transfers power from one side to the other, that makes that noise in the cabin. But for us today, oh, there's the Alitalia 22 Golf. But that shouldn't run now because the yellow pump's going to power that system instead. And you get that sort of high-pitched whine. You can't hear that very loudly in the airplane. It's quite quiet. And now we're saving a bit of fuel. And it does have another advantage, which is we can, you don't have to use the brakes as much. So they don't heat up, they don't wear out as quickly. Kai, hello to you. Thanks for coming along. Right, just keep it moving. See our colleague land. I can see the other colleague behind. Excellent. Where was I looking for? Sierra 2 onto Sierra. This is Sierra 2. I can tell because of the black sign there saying that is Sierra 2. These markers should normally be slightly before the turn. And there's Manta 14 Mike Juliet. Excellent. Oh, well, we'll have to watch our colleague land as well. And don't worry, guys, we will go and do a replay very shortly of the landing from passenger views and so on. Oh, no. Oh, we missed it. No, disaster. Oh, sorry. There's our colleague landing. That was a long old taxi. Right here, then left. I wonder why they're showing up as a Aeroflot. I don't know how we can coordinate it to make sure that the traffic shows up in our livery. That would be great fun. I'll have to start digging into that. Any taxiing effect when you do single engine ops at Cam 321? Yeah, absolutely. It won't run away as quickly, so you may have to add power. It becomes underpowered. And when you add power, of course, the airplane will constantly try and turn. ToLiss isn't simulating it that strongly. In real life, it will obviously turn with the engine. So in this stage, it's going to constantly try and turn right. So I'm looking for Delta. That's Bay 1. I'm not sure. Well, we're quite a way south. I can see a colleague over there. Ooh, someone's mic stuck open. Sky Ranger is liking the livery. Excellent.
At 358, the wind's 1308 knots, runway 05 center, clear to land.
And there's the next one.
Clear to land runway 05 center, Manta 358.
That's our very own Matteo, I believe. The maneuverability of views and access to buttons and switches in X-Plane ToLiss seems so much more fluid and easier than the 320 NEO, or is it just me watching? No, you are absolutely right. That's to do with the way Microsoft have set up the camera systems and so on. You can work on it, and it takes a lot of setting up in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but you can get there. But the ToLiss is great. It's so good. The way the buttons all work, I really like it. And, I tried the Flight Factor A350, and I would say that the ToLiss FCU in particular is the best I've ever used on the market for an Airbus. It's so easy to get the right mode and to move the mouse to the right area, whereas I had a little bit of difficulty in the 350 at times. I mean, I know I'm very used to this by comparison, but I think the ToLiss have done an amazing job designing this. It just works like you want it to. Right, this is Delta. So right, Delta, Golf 2. How do you pick between sharklets and wingtips? Sharklets will be on all the NEOs, so sadly, you no longer get an option. If you have the NEO add-on, ToLiss will force you to have sharklets. But how do you pick? If you mean, do I prefer? I prefer sharklets. I like the sharklets a lot. They're just, well, usually they're fitted to newer aeroplanes. Oh, let's make sure we don't miss our Delta. They're fitted to newer aeroplanes. Oh, let's see our colleague. There we go, there's Matteo. Matteo's showing up as in Wow Air. There we go. Excellent. Great fun. Right, I'm going to have to stop here before I get the wrong taxiway. Got to be in here. What was I doing there? So we've gone right on Delta. And then, yeah, the other right. Looking for Golf 2 next to our colleague. Excellent. Yeah, so the sharklets are nice. I think they're a really nice piece of design, and they tend to be on newer airplanes, but they just look great. I really like them. They don't really... Got a better view than that. Yeah, really slick. There's no difference in handling. I can't pretend to notice any difference. Supposedly it's a bit of a more slippery aeroplane, people say, so it may not slow down quite as quickly on approach, but I would say the difference is minimal. I don't really notice it. Can you trim the front wheel to the left, says Jake. No, you can't. No, you are stuck. So you have your steering tiller here and you can just steer it, but when you let go in the real airplane, it will always just go to neutral. Oh, let's not miss our stand now. So gate 2 is the second, so that should be, I believe, this one. Our colleague looks like they're on gate 3. Okay, arriving on the stand. APU is available. We've got accumulator pressure. Those are really hot brakes, so I'm going to put the brake fans on now. You want to wait as long as you can before turning those on, but you want them on before you arrive on stand. Oh, turn off those nose lights. I don't know why my brakes are a real struggle these days in X-Plane. Now this is a bit of an issue. I'm now trying to turn into the live engine, so it won't like doing that. If it was really wet or slippery out there, that could be difficult to do. And if you slow down too much on single engine and you have to rev that engine, that's not ideal either. So single engine, you really want to keep moving and have nice flat taxiways. Now I think our center line, I think I need to be slightly right like this, and then if I turn left, get the center line in between those screens. That looks more in line to me. I was really impressed with Microsoft Simulator, the way you can get the jet bridge to attach though. That is quite fun. Right. Let's try that. Oh dear, I don't know what I'm doing with the brakes there. That's parking brake is on. There we go. Right, so the APU is available for the generators. Great news. We no longer need that electric pump up there, so we can turn it off, or you can do it later. It doesn't matter. Now let's turn off that engine. Great news. APU bleeding, come on, because it's been a while. Let that engine spool down. Seatbelt signs off. Beacon off. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you all for coming along. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for chatting, asking questions. Thank you for those contributing. And thank you to those who've donated as well. Really appreciate it. Sky Ranger says, I hope so much for better graphics in X-Plane 11 after Microsoft presented. Yeah, fingers crossed. Maybe X-Plane 12. Okay. Let's have a look. We've got, yeah, the other Mantas all arriving. So thank you all for flying along in the other Manta aircraft. Let's now disconnect from VATSIM. And we'll go and do our replay, of course. That was a bit of a long taxi in, wasn't it? Oh, yes. Oh, dear. When I had to start scrolling back this far. There we go. Right. Let's do our classic. We're going to go for the runway view. Make sure we're near the threshold. There we go. Let's see how it looks. Now a bit of a float, so let's scoot along the touchdown zone. I think that's probably good enough. Yeah, I hope you guys like the livery. As I said, do please go and leave a review of it on the Threshold forum where I've uploaded it. Todd Hostel Third, cheers. Cheers to you. Thanks for coming. Goodbye, Tetukai. Thank you. Kyle Cruz, thank you for coming along as well. Sean McGuire, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, here we go then. Oh, bit of a stutter there. Into the flare. Bit of extra energy. Heavy aeroplane, this one, really. Into the float. Kicking off the drift a little bit. There's the touchdown. Yeah. I do like... I must say, I know I had a big part in making it, but I do really like the livery. Chickpoint's been very kindly working, or has already managed to start converting one into Microsoft Flight Simulator, so I'm hoping we can get that... I'll try and do a bit of work on it myself and see if we can get it into Microsoft Flight Simulator as well. But yeah, I'm a big fan of it. There we go, into the flare. Yeah, I think that worked out well. Bit of a float, but still. You can see that we're still well in the touchdown zone. Oh, and there's the ailerons suddenly pop up, which is obviously modern Airbuses. In fact, even the old Airbuses have been updated to include that now. Right, let's go for that engine view because I want to be able to see my paint. Sky Ranger, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks very much for coming along. Lauren V said, you thought that was a long taxi. Clearly, you've never been to Delaware-Fort Worth. Well, Lauren V, if you watch some of my older streams, I've managed to taxi. I think I have done some 40 minutes, but yeah, I'm sure there's some American airfields that really make that look like nothing. And great. Right. Again, guys, thank you so much for coming along. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. There'll be more streams coming soon. Thank you to those who've come along and moderated. Thank you for flying along. Thank you for chatting and asking questions. And let me start the outro music. If I can get it right. There we go. Outro music. Not that one. Wrong one. And thank you so much. Please do keep safe and well. And we will see you very soon in another live stream. A new video coming out on the channel tomorrow where we look at soft go-arounds. And there will be plenty more to come, including obviously Microsoft Flight Simulator videos too. Thank you all. Have a very good evening, and we'll see you